everyone, welcome back to Poppin' In with Alexa and Molly. I'm Alexa.
I'm Molly.
And this week we have a maybe short episode, a quick one we're trying to get through it because Molly's taking her ass to Orlando tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and I want to be fresh.
Bright and early.
Yeah, so no more staying over till midnight.
I'm telling you, that's the Chris of it all. He's a bad influence.
He really is.
Now he's got Poe, our dog, staying up late with him. They party downstairs. I hear her come in.
Yeah.
It's like 1, 2 a.m.
Yeah.
She's a middle-aged woman. She can't do that.
Just when I think I'm out, he turns on a new game show.
He does. He reels you back in. He does that. He's always like, oh, just one more.
Yeah, but none of that tonight because I am in bed by 8 o'clock tonight, which I don't think is possible.
It is currently 6:12.
Yeah, that's not possible.
And it's crazy. Okay, so I will say I was
I missed you.
I know, I missed you
We
too.
haven't seen each other in so long because Alexa was on a work trip last week, and now I'm going on a work trip this week.
And I feel like I was like, there's so many things I was like, I want to tell you from my work trip, and then I forgot most of them, I will say.
Yeah.
But one of them was I realized how psychotic I sound sometimes about like TV shows because like we're doing like these little group dinners and people are talking about TV shows that they've seen, and every single time people are like, have you seen? I'm like, seen
yes.
it. They're like, what about seen it? I'm like, oh, yeah, like, let me tell you my thoughts on this 32 hours of this television show that just came out yesterday. Yeah. And I'm like, I swear I, like, work and have a life.
So one of the things we're going to talk about today is a new show that came out, I want to say, like, 12 seconds ago. But we have already watched all 7 episodes of it. But the thing is, Alexa already had, so I had to catch up with her and watch them before I came over.
Spoiler, it's the show The 4 Seasons. Molly texted me today and said, I think you're really going to love the fall episodes. And I said, oh, I did. I was like, I watched that, I know, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do things with my life. Also, once we get into our deep dive today, I'll tell you why I was thinking about Russia. Oh. Just a little teaser.
I know that thing that you said. Okay, we'll get into this. But you said something that I was like, damn, I wish that was real.
Yeah. Also, I think we forgot to say this the past few episodes, but as always, we post our timestamps in the description. We post them on our Instagram at Poppin' In Podcast. So if we talk about a topic you're worried about spoilers or you don't care about it, feel free to take a look, skip ahead.
A gander? Wow. I went on Instagram just to like go to our story, and I was just hit with like a full like thirst trap, like booty out.
Wow, I love that for you. That's actually quite jarring about social media.
I mean,
when I used to follow Britney Spears, I was always worried about like I would be in a waiting room and suddenly it'd just be Britney Spears.
Yeah, it was jarring a little bit.
Yeah, naked with her dog that one time.
Oh, I was like, what?
It was quite the jar.
The jar.
Anyway, so our big topic today is Molly did convince me, kicking and screaming. No, just kidding. I said of my own free will I would go to see Thunderbolts, and this is my 3rd Marvel movie of all time, I think. Except for, I don't count the Spider-Man movies as Marvel movies.
There are Marvel movies.
I always think of Spider-Man as DC for some reason, I realize, and I think it's because it's kind of grittier. Like, something about Spider-Man feels dirty.
Maybe I would say the original ones, maybe, but like the new ones with Tom Holland are definitely very like MCU-ish.
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Oh, you should.
I know I would like them because I love Tom Holland and Zendaya. What? I love the soundtrack.
Then why do you love them? Who do you love them from?
I love Zendaya from everything.
But
and
what
I love
about
Tom Holland from dating Zendaya.
Gotcha. Okay. So
what else has he been in?
Not a lot. The thing is, he's been in a lot of things, but he has like this really crazy deal with Apple where like all of his projects that he does with Apple TV like suck.
That's the deal. They were
like,
you have to make 3 suckers for us.
He has a deal with them, and it's just unfortunate because they've just all kind of sucked. But he is about to be in Christopher Nolan's new movie.
Yeah, the Odyssey one.
The Odyssey.
You know what?
But Zendaya's in it too, and a part of me is like, can he just not have anything for himself? But I'm glad Zendaya's in it. I love Zendaya.
We were talking about this earlier. Sometimes I realize that I am like a childless person in like their early 30s because the things that I'm thinking about...
You're not, actually.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Almost 29 and a half.
Yeah, that's not early 30s.
Actually, 29 and I'll be 30 in like 3 months. But yeah, whatever. But anyways, because like I'm just sitting there, I'm driving around thinking about Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. And like my sister asked me a question about how like the other day, she's like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for like maternity leave.
Yeah. Do you find yourself, I feel like I'm constantly thinking about pop culture.
Always.
It's actually
That's why I texted you that thing. I was on a walk today. Okay, so
it's exhausting.
Yes, so here's my ADD thought process of how I got to Russia. It has to do with Thunderbolts, so it does make sense.
Oh, okay.
So the guy in Thunderbolts, he plays the Russian Captain America, basically.
Nope.
None
of that is true.
He said, he was like, you and me are the same, but it's David Harbour. Yeah, he was like,
he's not Captain America though.
I know, but he said, he was like, I'm basically like Captain America for Russia.
I actually missed that joke, so okay, now it makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
And I thought about him from Stranger Things, and I remember seeing him in the Russia episode of Stranger Things.
Yes, that's right.
And I thought to myself, wow, this man really pulls off Russian.
He does.
Like, I don't think he is. His name's David Harbour. I don't know if he's Russian or not in general, but something, I was like, he feels Russian.
He's just like a big, large man.
And I was
I think he's hot. I gotta say.
I don't know. I didn't think he was in this movie, but in Stranger Things, I thought he was hot.
Yeah.
And then I thought, what other Russian things would he be good in? And I thought to myself, why?
I love that you were talking to yourself about this.
I was. This is me all day, every day. And I thought to myself, again, I've got nothing going on. It's me and my dog all day.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, Rasputin. Would he be a good Rasputin? And I was like, no, actually, I don't think he would. That's the one Russian thing that I don't think he would do well in. Who would be a good Rasputin? That's when I pulled out my little phone and I texted my little friend, you, and I said, hey, just thinking about Russia, who do you think would play a good Rasputin?
Thinking about Russia. And the thing is, like, there was a loud noise. I got scared.
Oh, it's just Chris.
I'm
curious,
I thought he left, so I thought there was
these
an intruder.
random texts. Or do you ever, like, are you ever like, I wonder how
Not
she
with
got
you.
there? Okay.
And the thing is, like, there's something I want to tell you, but I can't. I'll tell you one day. I'll tell you soon in the future. But there's, like, something kind of secretive that I needed to, like, reach out and ask you. What?
Okay,
Why are you looking around?
I'm, like, secretive.
Oh.
What is it?
No. Like, whatever. You'll find out in the future. But there was something that I needed to, like, ask you, and I randomly texted you, and I was like, the thing is, it's not going to be weird me texting her this random question because, like, that's just how she is.
Yeah. That is true. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't say, hey, hello, how are you? I say, who do you think would play a good Rasputin?
And I was like...
It's noon on a Monday.
And the thing is, you already had an answer ready.
I didn't. I had been thinking about it for a little bit. Because I was going through in my head, I was like, I told you, I was like, who's tall, but not, like, thick,
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like...
He is kind of thick, though.
Because my first thought was Brendan Fraser, but, like, from The Mummy.
What?
But then I was like, no.
Okay,
I'm thinking tall people.
Okay.
And then I was like, maybe, like, a Conan O'Brien type body, but not Conan O'Brien, obviously.
Yeah, so, like, a Skarsgård.
Yes, that's how I got to a Skarsgård.
To.
Yeah.
And I actually agree, but they are buff, so...
But that's what I was saying. I was like, they are, but he could pull off lanky. You know what I mean? Like, he could buy a suit that is made for a skeleton and he would fit into it probably, but he could also be like, yeah, I'm Captain America if he wanted. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you said Bill Skarsgård, and I was like, the thing is, I was thinking about it, he used to be, like, skinny. He used to be lanky. And then he got really buff, and I was kind of like, what did he get buff for? Like, Pennywise? He didn't need to be buff for Pennywise.
Maybe it was that movie we hated, Boy Kills World. God. Yeah, but he was buff in that. I hated that movie. Can I be honest? I kind of felt a little bit of Boy Kills World vibes in Thunderbolts.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I didn't hate Thunderbolts.
So like a little bit of background. Yeah. So I'm really happy that I got you and friend of the pod, Eric, to go see Thunderbolts. He wanted to see it because he likes Marvel like me. You don't care about Marvel, but you'll see any movie, basically.
I don't hate Marvel. I'm just not like a Marvel...
I know, I didn't say you hated it.
I know, I'm just like clarifying for... I don't know if Marvel fans are like rabid where they're like going to kill you.
I don't think so. So... Okay. Matthew and I usually, like, we love Marvel, like, we watch Marvel movies together. For some reason, he just did not want to see Thunderbolts. And I actually understand where he was coming from. Because I got this vibe at first. And I still got the vibe a little bit throughout the movie. He hates, like, Marvel humor, quote unquote.
Yes. Okay, there was a whole scene.
I know, hold on, I'm going to get into this. So sorry, not to cut you off, but
no,
like,
you're
I'm
good.
going
You know more about this than I do.
So there is a thing called Marvel humor, and it is sometimes awful, and it's so annoying. It's why I don't like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, I've never...
See, and I like Guardians. Okay, so I've seen 4 Marvel movies. I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy.
I think I love the music.
Maybe I just like the music and Groot.
I don't think they're funny. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't like that humor.
That's fine.
And it's just, and the thing with Marvel humor is like it's sometimes sprinkled throughout movies, but it's like in Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like the whole movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's just all
Marvel
pretty much
humor
comedy.
feels like very 2010 humor.
Yes. And so Thunderbolts, I kind of got that vibe just from based on who was in it and like who, what it was about. And so Matthew was like, I'm not seeing that movie. Like, he was like, I'm not seeing it. It looks dumb. It came out. It got great reviews, like very good reviews. And so I was like, oh, damn, I'm like really excited to see it now. Please, someone see it with me. No one would. But then Alexa and Eric decided to see it with me. And I was very happy that I saw it because I actually really loved it.
I thought
it did have some Marvel humor in it, though.
Yeah. So there was like this whole, I guess, how would you maybe summarize the movie? It's like kind of this band of like random
misfits.
Marvel
so
misfits.
They're all kind of like mercenaries, essentially.
Yeah.
So it's really like, it's centered around Yelena, who is
Florence Pugh.
Played by Florence Pugh, but she's Black Widow's sister for anyone who saw the Black
Which
Widow
I
movie.
loved, like, before the movie, like, as the movie was starting, I was like, can you tell me what
I had to like
people are and
quickly
what's-
explain her all the characters to her. And then you've got her, and it's just I don't feel like explaining every character, but like Sebastian Stan is in it. He plays Bucky. Most people know who that is. He's from Captain America, whatever. So it's basically like a Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays Valentina. I'm not gonna say her last name, but she's Valentina. She's like
Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
How would you explain what she is like as a?
She's the head of the I actually have done a little bit of research.
Because I've seen her in so many of the Marvel stuff that I still don't even know what she is.
I think she's the head of the CIA, but she also like owns her own like corporation.
And so she hires like a lot of these people, so like including Wyatt Russell, who you wrote fake Captain America.
I couldn't remember what his character is.
You wrote fake Capital America. But he's like, yeah, he was like hired. Actually, his story is really interesting. I have always like been kind of pro his character because everyone hated him. Mm-hmm. But I felt like I actually thought he was a really interesting character. He was from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So when like Captain America, spoiler alert, die or whatever, like he's no longer Captain America.
Yeah.
Falcon is supposed to become Captain America, but he doesn't want it. So then like they have like Wyatt Russell, who plays, his name is John Walker. He becomes like Captain America, but everybody was like, no. And then he has a whole storyline, whatever. And so
I think Wyatt Russell just gives off asshole energy.
He gives off frat boy energy.
Yeah. I think
Okay, can I say something?
Okay.
He's my like man of the week.
He's handsome.
I'm actually really I really like him.
I like him as an actor, but I think it's because the two things I've seen him in are Under the Banner of Heaven, where he's like,
I'm rewatching it right now.
Awful. He's like an awful person.
But
I
love it.
And this,
I forgot
where he also is kind of an asshole.
Side note, I forgot how much I really liked that show. It's really disturbing.
Really good.
It's really disturbing, but it's really good. Again,
you learn a lot about Mormonism.
Yeah. He is crazy in that show though. But I watched it because I was just like I don't know. I really like him. And also, I think I really like him because if you were to ask me who I have, like, I think we've talked about this before, and I should have said this as an answer. Mm-hmm. But, like, if, like, somebody from, like, before, like, old, like, not old, but just, like, an actor from, like, before that you would have a crush on, like, I would say Kurt Russell.
Oh, you mean, like, who's older now?
Yes.
I would say...
And so he reminds me of a young...
Tom Hanks.
He's a young Kurt Russell.
I think Tom Hanks was very handsome.
And Colin Hanks. You've got Colin Hanks now.
Also Hugh Grant.
Okay.
But Colin Hanks doesn't look like... He looks like Tom Hanks,
I think he totally does.
He's a little bit nerdier looking, whereas I feel like Tom Hanks had, like, a boyish, like, foppishness to him, you know?
Fop-ish?
Like, yeah, like a fop... Like a...
That's like a British thing?
I think so, but, like... an American way. I don't know.
Oh.
Anyways,
I just like Wyatt Russell's like one of my like new favorite Nepo babies now because I just really I enjoy him. But
do you know there's another Nepo baby in this movie that I didn't know?
It's Lewis Pullman.
I did not know he was Bill Pullman's son. So I know Lewis Pullman. He was in Lessons in Chemistry.
Yes.
And I loved him in that show. I love that show. I love the book. And I was like, oh my God, like he's so like interestingly handsome. And then
he's cute.
Today I heard he was Bill Pullman's son. And I was like, that makes sense.
He looks exactly
from eye to
like
eye
him.
to chin.
Yeah.
The same.
He was also in Top Gun Maverick, which I didn't really care about that movie.
Poll for everyone, should I watch those? Let me know.
I didn't care about them. I actually don't care about Top Gun. Now, Mission Impossible.
That's what I meant.
Yes,
Mission Impossible.
Watch.
Confused.
Oh, you have been asking about that. Yes, watch.
Because I don't
want
to be like, I hate to be left out of a cultural phenomenon.
God,
you know
I'm so excited for that new. Okay, we're not here to talk about that right now. Lewis Pullman,
he plays the Sentry, aka Bob,
aka the Void.
Oh yeah.
Which sorry, spoilers. Sorry, we're supposed to say spoilers.
Well, we said at the beginning that
I don't think
spoilers.
We did. Okay, whatever. Spoilers. How did you feel about his character?
I loved his character. I liked his character as a character. But I was gonna say that's where like I thought the very like 2010s like Marvel humor where they're trying to explain to Sebastian Stan what's going, and they're all like Bob, and he's like Bob, and they're like Bob.
Can I tell you something? Okay,
and everyone in the theater was laughing.
I don't like. Okay, let me say two things. Okay. I don't like when everybody in the theater is laughing. That annoys me. I agree with you. I
actually learned that during Pride and Prejudice, where there were very funny parts and people were laughing
really
and I was
hard.
Like, yes, I was like, okay, well, now you're ruining it.
Exactly. That's how I felt. That's like sometimes what
control your joy.
I don't mind a theater experience where like everybody's watching something together. I find that fun. But like, if something's not that funny, but like at a Marvel movie, you'll see like where that humor is just like. And the thing with Bob is, like, that is his name, but Bob feels very, like, millennial. You know, when, like, you used to say, like, Bob, like, you used to call it, like, not you, we are, whatever. But, like.
Were you about to say we aren't millennials? Because I am. I was
going to say you are.
Thank you.
But, like.
Thank you.
Do you know what I mean? Where that was, like, peak humor was calling things Bob or whatever. Naming things Bob or saying the word Bob, like.
There were so many weird humor things from that era.
So it feels very like mustache. That's why like that scene kind of did.
Yeah.
Also anything with David Harbour who like is funny. I thought he was funny, but like he was so like
he was really I think he was holding up the comedic aspect of the movie too much.
Yes.
Where like even at the end, this is a huge spoiler.
Not really, because like they already marketed it immediately after it came out.
So it's like
the Thunderbolts are the new Avengers.
The new Avengers, and it's like the post-credit thing, which I've said I hate those. When I worked at the movie theater, you only have like 5 minutes in between like the movie to clean out the theater, and everyone's sitting there waiting for it, and you're just like, I need to clean out this theater anyways. Anyways, the post-credit thing where he was like, oh, so-and-so trademarked the Avengers, so now we're the Avengers with a Z.
Yeah.
I've solved the problem because I'm Russian. And I'm like, I don't what?
Well, it was funnier than that.
I didn't think it was that funny.
No, it wasn't, but
I was just like, that was like, it felt very,
that wasn't what he said.
And everyone was laughing so hard. There were funny parts of it that I thought were funny.
In the grocery store trying to get her to get the, like, cereal box, and I was just like, okay.
There were parts that I thought Sinners was funnier. Sinners was funny.
Sinners was funny. I think the thing about I actually thought Florence Pugh's character was like it's interesting whenever I see Florence Pugh, and y'all know I love Florence Pugh, but I don't think whenever I see her in interviews, I don't think she's like necessarily the funniest person alive.
Yeah.
I love her, but I don't think she's like particularly funny. But whenever she's that character, I actually think she's pretty funny.
I think she has a very dry sense of humor. Like, she seems like one of those people who probably is very funny, but you have to, like, listen to what she's saying. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, like, she'll make jokes and stuff, but, like, I don't...
Like, she's probably not, like, I think I get the vibe where she's not, like, overtly funny, but she's probably just, like, saying things to herself sometimes, and then you're like, wait, what? Sometimes.
You don't know Florence Pugh like I do.
Well, so I was going to say, I actually didn't know that she was Scarlett Johansson's sister. What did she play?
In the movie, yeah.
Black Widow? Yeah.
She's Black Widow.
Sorry, not in real life.
Florence Johansson.
Imagine that family dinner. Anyways, so I would like, when I saw that she was going to be in a Marvel movie, I was like, this is kind of an interesting career trajectory for her. And it's interesting because I think like Marvel, sometimes I get annoyed because I think Marvel sometimes traps people, ties up actors and actresses. Like, you know, they already did the preview for the next film, and it's like, okay, I'm sure that's really like hindering her schedule of making other films that I would love to see her in. Not that I wouldn't love to see her in this, but I'm like, I think she seems like a prestige actress to me.
But they're all like, a lot of them are. I think about that with Benedict Cumberbatch. He plays Doctor Strange, and that's like, Doctor Strange is like, I don't know how I would describe him as far as like in the universe, but I almost think of him as sometimes as like the new Tony Stark. Like he's a huge character, and so like I just think it's crazy that it's like you've got Benedict Cumberbatch, who is like such a prestigious actor who could be, I mean, he is still in things, like obviously, but it's just like crazy. Sometimes I think about him like he's a Marvel superhero now.
I think, here's the thing, I think Marvel is so big and so lucrative that I think if they offer you a Marvel role, it's almost like, yeah, you have to take it. It's basically like I've made it in Hollywood type of thing.
Yeah, probably.
I was actually thinking this earlier. I think Marvel films, like, it would be so interesting to see this Thunderbolts with, like, unknown actors. How do you think that would be? I think it would not be in the tone or the setting of Marvel, but I'm curious, like, what that would be like.
Because it's, like, part of it is the excitement of seeing, like, stars in it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I do think, so I think this movie was real. Like, I did really enjoy Thunderbolts a lot. Like, I'm really glad I saw it because I liked it a lot. But, and it was interesting, so to go kind of back into, like, I think the tone was just, it was still Marvel humor, like we were saying, but something about the tone was a little bit different. It felt like it just felt really, also, I thought the characters had really good chemistry. Like, the actors had really good chemistry with each other.
And you know what I really like between Florence Pugh and Bill Pullman's son is that... like, they had this connection.
I liked that connection.
But I liked that it never,
like, unless romantic.
Unless this changes at some point. I don't know, I haven't read the comics. But that it didn't feel romantic. It felt like they were genuinely, like, friends, like, there for each other. Like, they had this connection. And I think we've been seeing more films in general like that, where you see, like, friends who are guys and girls who just have a connection. And they're not like, let's fall in love.
So I'll never forget when they, like, introduced Black Widow and Hulk's, like, romantic, or Bruce Banner's, like, romantic.
What? I did not know Scarlett Johansson got with the Hulk.
Yes.
And Isn't that played by Mark Ruffalo?
Yes. And there's this really cringe scene. It's an Age of Ultron. So I felt like so nerdy saying that. It's an Age of Ultron. But in that movie, there's, like, a scene where, like, it's the very beginning of the movie. There's, like, a huge fight scene in the beginning of the movie, and he's Hulk, so he's, like, coming down from being the Hulk, and so he's got to, like, calm down, you know?
Yeah.
And she, like, comes up to him, and she's, like, the girl that, like, calms him down or whatever, and she's, like, Matthew and I quote this all the time because it's so cringe, but she goes, "Hey, big fella, sun's getting real low." And it is, like, one of the worst things ever. And the thing is, like, there was no reason, unless in the comics, if I'm wrong, sorry, guys, like, if you're a comics fan and they are together in the comics, my bad, but... To me, it just seemed like they were just trying to push these characters together.
If you were anyone in any of the Marvel films, who would you be?
If I were anyone?
Yeah.
The thing is, I see myself as Bob.
Or you just come out from behind a crate and you're like, I don't know where I am.
Because he was so, okay, like, I really liked his character. I thought he was a little cutie. But that's what I mean, like, he was so kind of useless the whole time. When like, Florence Pugh had to grab him and, like, teach him, like, he couldn't shoot a gun. He couldn't do anything. I could actually see me strapping you to my back and being like, we're gonna... Is that not me?
Yeah, that is, okay. I think I
want to say that I'd be... Oh, damn, that's a good one. Now I want to be Pepper Potts.
Again, I've only seen 4 Marvel movies.
That's, like, who I'd... Because it's like, I wouldn't be a superhero. I know that for a fact.
Either that or, what's the main guy from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Chris Pratt?
Yeah, his character maybe.
Star-Lord.
A little bit chaotic, but, like, kind of hot, you know?
Yeah.
Bit, you know?
Okay. I think I'm Bob.
Yeah, I love that answer for you. And then you become extremely powerful.
Yeah, but I'm like, I'm not trying to be. Like, I can't control it, guys.
Yeah, and then, like, I have to go into your mind and be like, let's be nice now.
I'm like, the thing is... Why would I kill them?
But the thing is, I also very much relate to Bob. And one of the things I did like about this movie and that I would watch it again is it starts and ends with depression. Yeah. And I love depression.
It was a huge... I turned to Alexa and Eric after we were sitting there through the credits waiting for these damn scenes. And I was like, the thing about this movie was definitely an allegory for mental illness.
Yeah, it certainly was. I mean, so Bob's character, Bill Pullman's son, Lewis Pullman, I really do love him as an actor. He stands on his own.
Kurt Russell's son.
Yes. I think, so he is basically, they say he's like a former drug addict. He is really like depressed. He's very alone. And he's like,
he was abused as a kid. Yeah. So he's got all this
he's backpacking through Asia and Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
I think you're saying it right.
Julia
Louis-Dreyfus.
Her.
You got it.
Anyways, like scoops him up and puts him into this study where they give him this serum that, again, spoiler, turns him into the Sentry. Which one thing I do love about Marvel is I'm like, I love the use of some of their words, like Sentry.
Yeah.
I'm like, they had to do some research for that, you know? Like nobody, they're not just like the guardsmen.
Can I cut in really quick?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I love about like Avengers movies or like Star Wars movies is there's always like they have a title that's so like vague but like powerful. The Rise of, or like Infinity. Like it's always like I want to be that person that chooses a name for those kind of movies because it's just like it's bullshit. It means nothing, but it's so powerful that you're like, yeah.
And I've realized I sent you this weekend, I want to be the person that names animals up for adoption. Because I sent you that cat, its name was Little Fat Girl. And it was the cutest cat I've ever.
It was a cute cat.
It was cute. And then I sent you Elliot Stabler, and it looked exactly like Elliot Stabler.
I don't think I know who Elliot Stabler is.
What, from Law and Order?
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Have you seen Law and Order?
Nah, I don't really watch Law and Order.
Elliot Stabler.
Oh, I didn't know that was his name.
And let me show you the cat. Hang on.
Okay.
Anyways, this is my dream job of naming animals up for adoption.
Yeah, it's fun. How does that look like him? He's not bald. If it was a bald cat, I would agree. Well, Alexa, you don't have to.
Anyways,
it's actually how I got Matilda's name was by seeing another animal named Matilda, and I was like, that is the cutest name.
Remember when our local shelter was like, we're doing a contest, name these 4 cats, and I said peanut butter, jelly, and bread.
Yeah, that's really cute.
Thank you. They didn't pick it.
Bread.
I'll remember that forever.
Well, because one of them would have been named Bread.
Okay. My Little Toaster Pastry.
You're like, where's my little bread? Oh. I still remember that text when you said
Toast would be a cute name for a cat.
Toast is cute. I still remember when you said, "Where my little bread?" It was a very funny text. So anyway, back to Bob.
Yeah, sorry, Bob. I really love his character. So he turns into the Sentry, and he becomes like the most powerful Marvel person ever.
Yeah.
Insane. Which, okay, I also want to ask you a question. I asked you this during the theater.
But he reminded me of one. Well, you don't know this person. Okay, go ahead.
Actually, here's my ADD brain. Another thing I was thinking about, the thing that is good about Marvel, so I did have to ask you for like background context.
Yeah.
And I will say, here's how Marvel, I think, really does make its money, is if you are into the Marvel universe, there's so many things that are getting pulled into each movie. Yeah. And so many things. But also, even if you weren't there and had told me that context, like hadn't told me that context about like Scarlett Johansson, whatever, I still would have I would have understood the movie.
You might miss some of the like little exciting things that people get excited about, but otherwise, like, and that, well, maybe not for every movie, but I think Thunderbolts did a good job of like introducing kind of new. For example, like I didn't know who oh, she's not on here, but Ghost was. Like I didn't know that character at all.
Oh yeah, I didn't know who
but
that
she's
was.
from Ant-Man, but I don't watch Ant-Man. So.
I think she is on there.
Geraldine played Mel, and she was
oh yeah, oh sorry.
No, her name is Hannah something, and she plays Ghost, and she like I didn't know who that was.
Yeah,
but like she's from.
But
a
if
Marvel
you're like
movie.
into the Marvelverse, then you're like, hell yeah, it's Ghost.
Yeah.
You know, like
I had no
think
idea.
that's what they really like. That is the secret sauce, I think, to Marvel.
Apparently, they killed Task. So they were not apparently. Okay, again, spoiler. But Taskmaster was killed in the fight scene in the very beginning, which I really liked that scene where it's like they first show like, so they all show up at the same place that like Valentina sent them to. So like, what's his name? John Walker, like Florence Pugh.
Kurt Russell.
Like whatever. Wyatt Russell, Florence Pugh, and Ghost.
Yeah.
And then that's where they meet Bob. But like they show Taskmaster. I don't remember her. Like, I think she might have been from Black Widow, but I just, like, genuinely don't remember that character.
Look at me sitting here trying to ponder, like,
I know, you don't
as though I would know.
Yeah, but do you know who I'm talking about? It was the one that they kill her, like, almost immediately, and people were, like, have been really pissed about that she just, like, dies immediately because people, like, love that character, and I had no idea who she was.
I don't know. There's so many characters. Okay, also, this is me being stupid. Are all the Marvel things, they're all written by Stan Lee originally, right?
So I thought so, but then I saw that like the Fantastic Four is written by a person that wasn't Stan Lee. I would think Stan Lee created them, but I can't.
Interesting.
Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on. It's the first superhero team created by artist, co-plotter Jack Kirby and editor, co-scripter Stan Lee. Okay. We're good.
Okay.
I was kind of right.
Oh, okay. So I was confused about who has like superpowers or not. Because here's the thing, because again, I get confused with DC and Marvel, where DC is very much these are superheroes. They have superpowers.
Yeah.
Whereas like Marvel is like Iron Man, he is kind of like a regular guy, or even like
he just has like
the Winter Soldier
guy. A lot of them have like
guy.
technology.
They have technology. So Florence
Winter
Pugh,
Soldier. Okay, go ahead, because I was gonna get into that.
Okay.
But Florence Pugh does not have superpowers. She's just like an assassin, basically.
Okay. Well, there were some things that she was doing that I was like, that's physically and
totally.
humanly impossible.
Totally.
But I don't.
But they're like assassins trained to like do that. So like that's how Black Widow. So like people
I think
always
I could
talk
be an
about
assassin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until you drop you drop a glass.
Yeah.
Black Widow and Hawkeye were always kind of the two Avengers that it's just like, okay, they're just two people who can like fight physically, but they couldn't actually like really do anything. I mean, they could, like they were definitely, but it was kind of like they didn't have powers, so it felt like it was like, what are they doing? But that's like Florence Pugh. And then Winter Soldier, he was injected with a serum, so he's got like kind of superpowers. But I was gonna say, so my question with that was, so Wyatt Russell's character also has that serum. And at one point, so remember, actually my favorite scene in the movie was when they were trapped in that thing. You went to the bathroom during it, but they had to climb up.
Oh yeah.
Bob gets the idea. They're trying to get out.
I came at the end.
Yeah, but it was actually kind of funny. Like
where he has to sneeze.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sorry.
The sneezing was stupid. But they had to, like, climb up. They couldn't figure out how to get out because none of them can fly because they're just, like, all four regular people, basically. Yeah. But Wyatt Russell's character has a serum, and he tries to jump. He jumps very high. Like, he does jump, like, you missed that part, but he jumps, like, all the way up. And then, like, he falls back down because he obviously can't.
Yeah.
But, like... No, I don't think so. The Winter Soldier and like Captain America had that too, but they couldn't jump like that, so I don't know why he could.
Now stick with me. Have you ever seen Encanto? Encanto?
No.
Okay, so the whole thing is like all of the siblings in the movie have some kind of magical power, but the one girl doesn't.
Yeah.
And then she goes through this journey, whatever, and at the end, she still doesn't have a magical power. Like her power is supposed to be like, oh, like you saved your family and held everyone together, whatever. And I remember at the end, like turning to Chris, and I would be like, this is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that's not.
And that's
power.
how I would feel if I were the one Marvel person who was like, I'm just really good at killing people.
Because they even make that joke when they first realize that they're stuck down there, and they're like, so none of us can fly.
Yeah.
And like that would suck. That it's just like you're in the Avengers, and it's like Thor, Iron Man.
Yeah.
Everyone else can fly or like do something really cool, and you're just like, oh, I'm an assassin who has like a happens to have a crossbow, but like that's it.
And it's interesting, like,
also side note, we didn't talk about this. I joked about it on our stories, but thank you. Jeremy Renner is not going to be in season 2 of Hawkeye because he got offered a smaller amount of money than he did the first time. And he's like, I don't know if that's because of my accident or something, but like, so he said no, so he's not returning.
What does Jeremy Renner look like again?
Yeah, he's the one who got in that, like, what am I trying to say? It was like that trailer, like, crushed him or whatever.
Oh my God, I didn't know about that. Oh,
really?
Wait, was this like a year or so ago? Maybe. That's crazy.
It was a snowplow. It was in like 2023. He
yes, I forgot about that.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, I was reading it. But anyway, where was I going? I meant to bring that up at one point that he's like not going to be in it because he got offered less money, which is crazy.
Who does he play?
Hawkeye.
So how are they going to do that? They're just going to recast?
I guess. So Haley Steinfeld is like I forgot her name. Her name was Kate, but I don't remember like what her like thing was. But anyway, she is gonna be in it, so I guess she'll just be like the new whatever.
So I did like about back to Thunderbolts. So again, huge spoiler here, but Lewis Pullman. I almost said Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland. Lewis Pullman. I've been calling him Bill Pullman's son too much.
But you have been saying his last name. So where's the disconnect?
I don't know. Anyways, so he becomes the Sentry, but then it's like something... Oh, Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character tries to kill him, which then turns him into the Void, which is basically like the dark side of his personality. And I actually really loved the way they did that.
It was like depression as a character.
It was literally, his form was, he looked like how they would do like classic vampires, honestly, where like they did this in that Stephen King vampire show that came out earlier this year, and in Midnight Mass, like where it's just darkness and two little beady glowing eyes.
Yeah.
And it was really scary, actually. I thought he looked like you couldn't even see him.
He was scary, yeah.
And so then he goes and he just poofs people. And I thought that they did that very well, where it's not like he's like murdering them, he's striking them down. Like literally as people are walking, they just voided, I guess. Okay, like they're like shadowed away.
You know what it really reminded me of, and you've never seen this, but like this is why like being in the Marvel, like watching Marvel movies, especially in theaters, is such a magical experience sometimes, because like seeing Infinity War and like with everybody, and like at the end of Infinity War, spoiler, I don't know, it's like however many years old now, but like at the end of Infinity War, they get blipped, which is like, like Florence Pugh's character got blipped as well, but like
that sounds like bad.
They're all blipped.
It sounds like a porno.
Because you find out later, like, who got blipped. But blipped. Like, she wasn't in Infinity War, so you don't know that, but you find that out, like, later.
Okay.
Who got blipped during this, like, blip.
Okay.
And so they call
blip again.
They call it the blip. And, but in Infinity War, they all just, like, turn to, like, randomly, and they're not, like, dying, but you think they are, like, at first. And it reminded me of that, because I straight up thought they were dying.
It literally looked like, as if, like, when you blow a candle out. Like, it was just like, whoosh.
Bye.
Yeah, and it was a very, like, I think it was a very, like, moving thing, but then you find out, like, they're not actually dead. They're all, like, in their own internal suffering memories.
Yeah, because that's where it's, like, it's the Void. So, and they go and pull him out, and I thought that was a really nice scene.
So, I don't know, and I'm glad when I was doing research on this that I wasn't the only one that thought about this. So, when you come out of the Void, so he's, like, blipped or voided or whatever, like, all of these people, including the guy who is flying the helicopter right when he immediately becomes the Sentry. And so then at the end, once he decides to, like, not let the depression take over, like, literally the central thing is, like, them all, like, hugging each other and pulling him back, which is precious.
It sounds cringe, but it was actually,
it was precious,
like,
yeah. But then all of the people he's voided or whatever
come back, and
they come back. Yeah, I'm like, what about the guy in the helicopter? Where does he go? Do you know what I mean? Like, what? I literally, and I was
he dead now because he has to land back in his helicopter?
He
and
just
be like, what?
No, his helicopter it exploded.
I know that.
Yeah.
So did he? When I'm saying land,
he's
in
the air. He's just
no
in a building.
He when I say land, I mean he like ends up back in the helicopter, but now he's on fire because it's on fire.
Yeah. Or like
Crazy.
what if it's just like where the helicopter was? He's just in the air and he's just like. Ah!
So that's what I always appreciated about Civil War. That's the movie it's Captain America, but it's like the movie where it's actually what I think the next Avengers kind of will be like. I think because they're the new Avengers, but then it sounds like Sam, who is Anthony Mackie, who's like Captain America, he will start his own, like, because remember he was like copy at the end.
Yeah, that's what
suing them for copyright or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's gonna start his own team, and now I think they might. What if they fight? I don't know. Anyway, really quick, I was gonna say in Civil War, they do finally acknowledge like what happens when like after these fights, like what's the like. What happens after that to all the civilians just who are in the fire, the towers getting like, falling and everybody getting crushed and people dying. And it's like, that's never really acknowledged in superhero movies.
Like, it's like not, like, it's kind of like, they're not sci-fi movies, but there is science to it. But it's like, you can't think too hard into it. Like, what happens to all the matter?
They did that really well in The Penguin, though. Because, so at the end of the Batman, like, the Riddler, like, basically all of Gotham is like flooded.
Okay.
And so it's like typical like superhero stuff where it's just like all this chaos and damage or whatever. But then like in the Penguin, the whole story at the beginning is just like the aftermath of like this flood and how it affected all these people. And so I appreciate now that movies, like superhero movies, are starting to like acknowledge that.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm gonna be honest, it was the first thing I thought of when people started reappearing, and I thought maybe it was just me, but then I like was listening to some podcasts. There was like two of them that literally were like, what happened to the guy flying the airplane?
No, that was crazy. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Also, did you know who was almost cast in Lewis Pullman's place?
Steven Yeun.
Which is so interesting.
I can't see it.
I actually can. I do think they have similar energies, and I love seeing movies and then seeing who is almost cast in a role. And it must be interesting as an actor to realize, like,
damn,
that person has the same, like, vibe as me.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you would be. I'm sure that happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've heard actors say, like, they are up against the same person a lot.
Yeah.
But I think the thing with Steven Yeun, I feel like I couldn't see it, actually, after watching that movie, because I did know that he was supposed to be him originally. Mm-hmm. And after watching it, I was like, I cannot see him in that role. He's too, like, Lewis Pullman is, like, a little cutie patootie.
Yeah.
And I just don't, like, I love Steven Yeun. I don't see him as that character.
I don't either. I think it's interesting, though, the person who directed Thunderbolts directed Beef.
Beef, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was why.
Maybe.
Like,
I think what Steven Yeun would have brought to it is, like, Lewis Pullman, and he brought that, like, very cute, wholesome aspect, but I think Steven Yeun would have brought, like, a little bit of a darker aspect.
Yeah, that's true.
That I think would have played really well with that character, but I did ultimately like the decision in the casting.
I did too, and I do want to see Steven Yeun still play somebody. I don't know who, but I still want him to be in the MCU. I think that'd be really good.
This is how not a part of the Marvel world I am. So Simu Liu, someone, like, Chris said, he was like, yeah, he's one of the biggest actors in the world. And I said, really? From Kim's Convenience? And
you didn't know that he's, like, from...
No, what is the
Marvel character again?
He's from Shang-Chi?
Yes, okay. The rings, yeah.
I literally had never heard of it before. When he said he was one of the highest, because he appeared in a show as himself, and they were like one of the highest paid actors in the world. I literally was like, wow, I didn't know Kim's Convenience had it like that.
He was in Barbie too, wasn't he?
This was before Barbie.
Oh. He, the thing with that movie was, like, Awkwafina was in it, and I was just like, I can't.
Awkwafina is also going to be in Poker Face.
I know, Alexa, I just saw that, and I was so upset to hear that. She's not good. Why are we doing this? Seriously, why are we doing this? I need somebody to answer me. I want Hollywood to answer me right now.
Crickets.
Because I don't think she's funny. Like, I don't get it.
I don't hate her. I think there's other... Okay. Awkwafina versus Joey King.
Joey King is at least a good actor.
Really? I think...
In some things, yeah. Did you ever see the one where she played, what's her face?
The Child?
Yeah.
No.
I didn't either, but I heard she was good. She was nominated for it, wasn't she?
I don't know.
I love
how we're the vague descriptions.
Something? I think she gets way more hate than she deserves. I think people just want to hate on her. But I feel like a lot of people... Because did you see her Met Gala outfit?
Yeah.
It looked great.
You sent it to me.
She looked amazing. She, like, got the theme. Oh, she was
I saw
on
her
theme
recently.
Well, and people, really quick, I was just going to say, people were saying, they were like, damn, I really wanted to hate her. Like, I wanted to hate her outfit. I'm like, why, though? What about her is so off-putting to people?
And I saw her, like, in an interview. As a person, she seems fine.
She is totally fine.
It's just that when people potentially fan cast her in roles for things I have near and dear to my heart.
I think we're thinking of, like, The Kissing Booth. Which I happen to love The Kissing Booth. So
I know, I've never seen it.
I don't think she's a great actor, but I've also seen her in things where I'm like, she's good. She's fine. I've seen worse. Yes, I definitely think Awkwafina is a worse actor than Joey King.
I just feel like, well, we'll get into this when we talk about
Don't know why we're comparing the two.
I was just thinking where you were just like, she's the worst actress in Hollywood.
Okay, continue. So you were asking, why are people saying Marvel's back and when did it leave?
Oh, yeah.
Let me say something to that. Okay, so... It did leave because there's too much Marvel content out right now. Like, there's just too many shows.
There's so much.
It's because of Disney Plus. They're having to push stuff out. And that's actually why Matthew didn't want to see Thunderbolts. Like, he wants to see Fantastic Four, but, like, he doesn't want to see Thunderbolts because he was just like, it looked like Marvel humor. I'm just tired of it all. And I get that. Like, I actually do understand that. But the thing about this one that I was like, oh, Marvel's back, is because there's been a lot of, like, compilations of the cast and, like, their chemistry, and I've just seen a lot of videos like that, and I'm like, yes, like, that's old Marvel. Like, I just miss that, where it's just, like, a really good cast.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, the movie is good. The movie itself is good.
Mm.
And I just, like, I love the cast, and I just love everything about it. Like, Marvel's back. And I'm excited for future movies, too. That's what I would say.
When did it leave? Because I feel like for a while, people have been saying that it was... Oh, okay. Well, I just was confused about it still.
I'm saying, I just told you, though, that, like, it was kind of, I feel like it fell off with all the shows and stuff that they're pumping out, like.
Also, like, and I know this is not how they do it, but, you know, like, there's so many Marvel shows and there's so many, like, through lines and threads. I'm just picturing, like, that one meme from It's Always Sunny where he has, like, all the things, and there's just one guy at Marvel holding it all together, and he's like, no, like, Captain America said this in this movie, so he can't.
Can you imagine having to keep track of all that?
No,
and
sometimes people, like, I'll notice, like, this plot hole, and I'm like, well, there's 2,000 movies and storylines. Of course there's going to be a plot hole or two.
And I also feel bad because, like genuinely, I feel bad about this, which is, like, so embarrassing. This is a Marvel movie. Like, they're fine.
they're just fine.
No, I just mean, like, they're doing fine. Yeah. Like, they're okay, but for some reason I'm caring about, like, Anthony Mackie's feelings, I guess. But, like, it kind of also was falling, like, I felt like with Thunderbolts it was back because, like, the last one was Captain America, the, like, Brave New World or whatever, and it had Harrison Ford. He was, like, Red Hulk.
People kept talking about that. I thought they were talking about the Aldous Huxley novel.
What?
Brave New World.
No. And so this movie, and this just came out, like, a month or two ago or something, and, like, it didn't do great. It didn't get good reviews, and I think here's what I think. If they had focused that movie, instead of it just being Captain America, because like no one really wanted to see that. I think you have to have, just like Sebastian Stan has never been in something just himself. He's with Thunderbolts or he's like whatever. Like, you've got to, like, have other characters in it and I think if they had actually focused on him having a team in that one and then Thunderbolts in this one, like, maybe his movie, like, maybe that movie would have done better.
Is Deadpool Marvel?
It is, but it's not really, like, officially the MCU. It's Sony. So it's kind of like, but here's the thing. It is confusing because, like, the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies are also Sony, but but he's in the MCU. So it is very confusing. I don't want Deadpool. I do not care about Deadpool at all. So I don't want it part of it. But, just to get into our question of the week, so you don't watch... You've only, this Thunderbolts is, like, what, your fourth Marvel movie?
I will say so if you don't know, which you should by now, we do a question of the week every week. Go follow us at Poppin Podcast. We post it every week before our episode, unless we forget, but usually we're good about it. And this week we asked, what is your favorite Marvel movie?
Oh, I said Marvel character.
Oh, okay. That's fine. But
I know I changed it.
Oh, okay. But when we were texting about it, like, what should our question be? And you said it should be that. I was like, that's fine. It will be a selection of 4 movies for me.
So,
which is my own thing.
I know, but your original question, like, I'm gonna be honest, it didn't make a lot of sense to like what we were talking about because you asked. I'm just saying.
I also didn't have an answer to it.
Okay. Oh, I definitely had answers. Oh, but you were asking, like, what was, like, a reboot? What was your favorite reboot? And I was like, well, it's not really a reboot.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not. Like, I don't know. So that's why I was like, but then I was also really busy today, so I was just like, I'll have to quickly think of a question. But I just went with Marvel character because I feel like people can think of a Marvel character more than, like, a Marvel movie. I feel like that's harder.
So here's what's going to make a lot of people upset.
Okay.
My favorite Marvel character is going to be the first one I ever saw, which was Wolverine in his Wolverine movie. And the only reason I saw it was because, you know how people used to get you, like, birthday packs where it's like here's a movie and popcorn or whatever.
Yeah.
Someone gave us the DVD, what the Wolverine movie.
Interesting.
And I had never seen any other movies, Marvel movies.
I've never seen a movie.
It was my first film. I'll be honest, I thought the X-Men movies and, you know, the Underworld movies?
Is that the vampire ones?
Yeah. I thought they were the same, in the same franchise, same universe. So then I watched Wolverine. I was like, okay. And now I guess he'll be my favorite character because it's the first one, those claws, that chest hair, first thing I ever saw in association with, I didn't even know it was Marvel.
You know, I've never found Hugh Jackman very attractive. I've never, like, cared about him.
He's fine.
That's how I feel about Wolverine too. I'm just like, he's fine. He was in, like, so I did love the X-Men movies.
The X-Men movies I have seen, actually. Some of them.
Some of them are good. They get bad later on. Like, some of them are awful, but, like, the earlier ones were really good. Like, the ones with James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, but, like, their like earlier ones were really, really good.
I just love the idea. I think what drew me in about like X-Men movies is like going to a school.
Okay, so going to a school, and then also like this is what I love about Thunderbolts too, is just like a group of like like I just like love the idea of like a group of people.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I just love that. But okay, so I almost said werewolf. What is his name?
Wolverine?
Wolverine. Wolverine is your favorite character.
An American werewolf in
I almost said Gotham. New York City.
Yeah.
Don't know where, whatever.
Okay.
Okay, mine,
Ching.
I think.
Sorry. That was supposed to be my nails.
Oh, his nails, okay.
Which are made of some sort of metal.
Yeah.
I do
They're
know
gross.
that.
They come out of his knuckles.
Hell yeah. Anyways.
So mine is probably always going to be Iron Man or like Tony Stark, but then I also like I love Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah, but would you love it if it wasn't Benedict?
You know what? You don't need to ask me that question.
No, I'm genuinely like curious.
But I don't know any other Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Like, so I'm thinking, because I don't read the Marvel comics, so let's get that straight. So when I'm talking about these characters, I'm literally only, but to answer your question, like, that's what I mean. Like, I can only tell you about them. Like, because I don't read the comics, so I don't know the characters like that. I just am like, oh yeah, like, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Like, I love him.
What character is Robert Downey Jr. coming back to play again?
Doctor Doom. Which is crazy, and I wonder if it just does somehow connect to it, because it is, like, insane that they're bringing him back to play a different character. Because, like, he's Iron Man. Like, that's crazy. So I'm wondering if there's, like, some kind of connection.
I don't know.
I'm excited for the next Avengers movie,
before
Marvel?
You know?
Wait, what?
Like, what did people do before these Marvel? Because Iron Man was, like, the first big Marvel movie. Did people just watch random superhero movies? Crazy.
So, yeah,
people just leave as soon as the movie ends?
You know what's creepy to think is, like, them all, like, separated. They were just, like, separated movies.
Yeah.
That's weird. So there were Hulk movies before with, like, Edward Norton.
Oh, yeah.
And then also, so
His
something I think
dome.
about, and I had forgotten about this movie until it was on in The Office, like, the other week, was Daredevil with Ben Affleck. Did you ever see that?
No, I'm thinking of the Nicolas Cage one where his skull is on fire.
No, that's something.
Skullfire?
Nope. What is his name? I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name. Ghost Rider?
Yeah, something like that.
But Ben Affleck played Daredevil, and it was a really bad movie. It's where he met Jennifer Garner.
Wasn't he Batman?
He was also Batman, but he played Daredevil before, like, Charlie Cox played him. Like, before they made, like, their Daredevil show, like, there was a movie, just a Daredevil movie, and it was so scary because he goes blind, and it's really scary to the point, like, whenever I hear anybody talk about Hell's Kitchen, I get, like, really scared because I think about that movie.
I don't know the context, but it
takes place in Hell's Kitchen.
Oh.
But anyway, so Iron Man, and then also, like, Doctor Strange.
Okay. Well, did we get any answers?
We got a few.
If you didn't answer, but you're listening, just know we know.
And also, you know what? There's some people here who I can see viewed it, who I know would have an answer, and they didn't answer it.
Call them out.
Rude. No, it's okay. Shout out Kelsey. Kelsey said, for the MCU, I've been in love with Hawkeye since the first Thor movie.
Aw.
Love that. Matthew said Thanos, who is, he's a villain. He's like Matthew like loves Thanos.
Oh.
And then my friend Caitlin said Loki.
What's the guy who plays Loki?
So
again?
Loki is Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. Tom Hiddleston plays Loki, who I also love Loki. He was good.
Interesting.
He was
people really like him.
He was in the first Avengers, and then he had a show too.
Yeah.
Well, obviously he's from Thor as well, but he had a show.
Ragnarok.
Thor, yeah.
I'm just saying random Marvel
There
things.
is a Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
I never watched it, but people love it. That to me is peak Marvel humor, though. That's why I can't watch that movie, because it feels like such Marvel humor.
Interesting.
It's like Taika Waititi did it, and I think it's just like, I don't know. I don't think I would like it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, our
that's all
other
we had to say about Thunderbolts. But anyway, I think go see it. I think it was good. I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that you liked it.
I love the depression of it all.
Thank
you. If you put depression into a movie, I'll be like, I love it.
Because I was really worried about you not liking it and hating me for the rest of your life. So
it's fine. I made you watch Coneheads.
You know what? That's true.
There you go. But so what we both collectively watched, I actually wasn't sure when I was like, oh, you should watch this. I wasn't sure if you would like it or not, the 4 seasons.
Oh, yeah.
Because I loved it, but it was like very much like Alexa bait. Like there was no question.
Kind of, because it's kind of a romance, but like not.
I guess it's just like wealthy, boring people. Not boring, but like wealthy.
Kind of though.
People.
Yeah. It's about a group of friends and their relationships.
I love someone described it.
But they're like
it's like the White
middle-aged.
Lotus, but with no murder.
Well, so what I was confused about, because I didn't originally know that it was based on a movie. So it's based on the movie. It's created by Alan Alda called Four Seasons, and it was a movie. I don't know when it came out. Like what the 70s?
I was watching it when you came in.
Okay,
today.
yeah, you were. So
can I say, and I don't mean this rudely to anyone in the 70s, people looked so different back then.
Yeah.
Like some of the women where they were like, she is so hot, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
We didn't have the Botox and teeth whitening that we do now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
They all looked so much older.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Four Seasons, what I originally thought was it was like kind of like a knockoff of the White Lotus. And that's what I was like, oh, I don't know. But then it is based on this movie. Tina Fey created the mini series. So it's a limited series on Netflix, and it's 8 episodes. And basically, if you haven't seen the movie, it takes place over the course of 4 seasons. So it's like spring, summer, fall, and winter, and they play Vivaldi's 4 seasons throughout.
Which is beautiful. Love. And they do that in the movie too. And it's based on it's basically like a study in middle-aged marriage and being middle-aged in general. So each of the couples, they're like in their mid-50s. The couples are Kate and Jack. Yeah, Kate and Jack, which Kate is Tina Fey, Will Forte plays Jack, Coleman Domingo and Marco Calvin, which they play Danny and Claude, Steve Carell and Carrie Kinney Silver, they play Nick and Anne, which Carrie Kinney Silver I didn't know was from Reno 911.
Yeah, because I was like, I've watched interviews of the cast, which... You really got to stop me from doing that because it really ruins things for me. But I watched interviews with the cast, and she's so funny. And I was like, is she a comedian or something?
She was kind of funny in this a little bit, like the way she
was, yeah. But it turns out she is a comedian.
And what I loved about this, and also Erica Henningsen played Jenny.
Who I think I saw her. She's from she's actually a Broadway actor. She's from she was in Mean Girls, the musical, and so I saw her in Mean Girls.
I feel like she has one of those phases where I was like, she looks familiar, but I couldn't remember. Like
she's so pretty.
But so basically, each season, this group of friends, and they've all been friends for like decades, go to a different holiday together, you know? So it starts out in the spring, and they go to Nick and Anne's lake house. And that's where, again, we're going to say some spoilers. This happens in the first episode, though, where Nick, Steve Carell's character, drops on them that he is going to divorce his wife. He wants to leave her, even though it's their 25th wedding anniversary. And then you find out in the next episode that Anne has planned a surprise vow renewal for them, and because she doesn't know that he wants to leave her. And so that really sets up, I think, the whole crux of it all. But I think it's interesting, one, I was like, I love the fantasy of 4 friends being able to go on a trip 4 times a year together.
Yeah, well, they're all kind of and they're all pretty wealthy, I think.
Yeah.
But the thing is, so I was confused. Is it the whole year? Does this all take place in 1 year?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting.
Because there's one point when they get to the last few episodes, and she's like, oh, do you, Anne says to Tina Fey's character, do you think I'm being annoying? And she's like, well, it's only been 9 months.
Okay, yeah, because I was, then in summer, so that was spring.
Yeah.
We covered spring. Summer is they go on a vacation to Mexico somewhere
tropical. I don't know if they even really say.
I don't know, but that's where you meet, so since spring and I guess summer, Steve Carell's character has met Jenny, who is this 20-something-year-old.
She's 31, which I think is interesting.
She's very adventurous, obviously younger than everybody else. So everybody's kind of he's clearly going through a midlife crisis. Yeah. And so they're going on this trip. But that's why I was a little confused. I was like, did this only take place over the span of a year? And obviously we'll get into this, but later on, I mean, that means they weren't together that long.
No, they weren't. They were together and she says at the end, she's like, you guys were together for less than a year.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that, so Steve Carell, again, he's the character is, Steve Carell looks fine in this.
He looks so good.
He looks better than he did when he was 31.
No, he totally does. He ages He ages like wine.
I always love, again, from Giggly Squad, they always say, you're not ugly, you're just poor. And I bet if I had Steve Carell money, I'd probably be fine too. But, so he dates Jenny, and she's 31, and I think it's interesting that she's 31 and not, like, maybe, like, 24. And maybe it's because, like, I am, like, 29, so 31 doesn't feel like...
No, it's not that crazy of an age gap.
It's not that crazy, but they sometimes, like, where she's just like, I want to go do this, and I want to do that, and I'm like, oh my, I'm 31, I'm like, I'm not doing that, I'm with Tina Fey being like, let's go take a nap.
But it's a little confusing, so to skip ahead, when they're in winter, they now go on a trip with her friends, because she has gone on a trip with his friends, and is a little bit kind of out, like, on the outside. But, like, he goes, and he is more adventurous than them somehow. Like, he beats them at skiing. And so I couldn't really get, like, the vibe of, like, you know what I mean? Like, it felt like...
I think he's more classically adventurous. Like, something about skiing feels like, oh, yeah, like, I would have done, like, I don't know a lot of people that ski. Some people I know that ski, but it feels like something that, like, an older person would know how to do.
Yeah, you're right.
You know? Whereas, like, she's like, oh, I saw this, like, beach on TikTok, this hidden beach, and it's over there or whatever, where she's like, let's go try this new thing that no one's ever done. And I love Coleman Domingo's line where he's like, he says to Steve Carell, he's like, you're not doing this right. Like, she's not supposed to be convincing you to go stay in a yurt on a beach. You're supposed to be like, like showing her the fine ways of life as a 55-year-old man.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I get that. But I think it's interesting because sometimes they treat her like she's like 24.
Yeah,
like,
they
she's
do.
Not that young.
No.
Like, as someone who, again, is almost 30, I'm like...
Well, because she's 31. I mean, how old are Will Forte and
they're
Tina
55.
Fey? Oh. I didn't know Will Forte was that old.
Yeah.
Not that, I'm not saying that's old.
Yeah.
But, like...
Yeah.
I thought he was younger than that for some reason.
Yeah. But it's just interesting, like, that dynamic. I think go ahead.
The thing is, you would never know that Coleman Domingo is 55, though, which I think he is in real life, like, or around that age. Did you see him dancing on the dance floor when they're at the, when he's, like, with the bachelor
I love
party?
him and Claude.
I do, too. Okay, so we had this, I was really thinking this, like, in the last episode, too. Like, you said that if we had to pick who we are as characters, you are both Kate and Jack somehow.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. I definitely agree with you on that. And then I was like, I'm Claude.
Yeah.
Like, just the
Except
anxiety.
not, like, super... Like, you're affectionate, but you're not, like...
Yeah. I'm not, like... I'm not like that. But I linger on things. Like, I'm very, like... anxious,
and
like
there was a scene in the second episode that literally was like the most you versus me interaction where Tina Fey's like lifting this heavy desk and she's like, can you help me with this? And he goes, oh sure. And he's like, okay, a little
like,
to the left.
He like doesn't touch it.
Yes. It just reminded me when we were in Charlottesville, we were lifting that heavy ass couch and Meg and I are like, oh!
So what
and you were laughing so hard, you were like, I'm literally, guys, I'm not even touching
I
it.
do this all the time too without realizing it, whether it's picking up like a picnic table outside, like when people have to like move tables, like at like, you know, at lunch or whatever, when people are trying to like push tables together. I do this thing where I stand there as if I am holding it, and I am not.
No, I could tell by the way your shoulders were shaking with laughter, you physically would not have been able to hold that couch.
I think that I am helping, and then I look down and realize I am not touching this table.
Yeah. It's just
crazy.
It's very funny.
I am Claude, and also just the way that he like lingers on things, and the way that like Coleman Domingo's character had to keep being like, let's not worry about that. Like, that is me and Matthew.
And I think what's interesting about all of these relationships is, especially maybe not like with like Steve Carell's like two relationships, but like with Coleman Domingo and Tina Fey's relationships, their marriage, there's definitely like a perky like, yeah, like I'll make the best of the situation, and a like kind of person. And they even, I love like Coleman and Domingo and Tina Fey's characters are really good friends, and he even says to her, he's like, you and I are the same, you like to pick fights and do something, and she's like, well no, I like to win fights or whatever. And I was just like, yes. And then you have their spouses who are literally just like, oh, I think so and so is a butterfly.
Yeah. When she really reminded me of you in the scene where, well, we have to skip ahead a little bit, but there's a scene where they have to plan an event, and she is like taking control basically of planning the event, which I'm not really sure why, but I guess just as a close friend, she's just helping. But like, there's a scene where she and Will Forte are arguing. So they're at this point kind of not doing great in their relationship, or they're just going through counseling. Like, they're just kind of going through something. And she gets frustrated with him because he doesn't like, he's not good at like he gets swindled easily by like salesmen or whatever, and so she's like, you have to stand up to him. And like I was pissed off for her when he like he was like
that is very me and Chris. When I signed up for a car warranty like 3 months ago, and he was like, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you like say anything? And I was like, they said I needed it.
So this is why I say you're both Jack and Kate though, because you're also kind of Jack and Kate, what are we lost?
Yeah, wow.
Okay. But Kate, you're also kind of, because
I was gonna say Titanic.
That's Jack and Rose.
Oh, but Kate Winslet. Okay, sorry.
Yes. So you're kind of Kate though, because you were like, I could see you getting frustrated and be like, okay, I guess I just have to do everything then. Like, yeah, you're kind of like that too.
Yes, but I'm also like, the reason I'm then was like, sorry, not to talk about me more, but is because even with my birthday where I was like, oh, I'm gonna book this Airbnb, and I was like, I guess I have to book it, but I'm also very much Jack, where I'm like, I didn't read anything about the Airbnb. Now it's 10 people in this Airbnb with 1 bathroom and all farmhouse doors.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I did not know that you booked the Airbnb.
Yeah. Oh. And then Chris was like, why wouldn't you let me book it? And I was like, I just did it. We needed an Airbnb and I just booked it. So that's how I am very much both of them.
I did not know you. I didn't know you were responsible for that.
Yeah, I was. Oopsies. Damn. Where, like, if there was a crack in the bathroom door, because it was a farmhouse door
I did not use that bathroom. I didn't go to the bathroom.
If someone was shitting, you could literally watch them.
Yeah, I was lucky to not have to do that, because I was like, I am not doing that there.
But I will say, back to the show. I do think Jack and Kate's relationship is not, I don't want to say the most realistic, but I think, like, the way that they're just like, oh my God, like, their friend gets divorced and starts dating another girl, and in, like, the second episode, they're like, imagine, like, you have to, like, it was something where it was like, you have to figure out what you want to wear on a first date.
Yeah.
Ugh. And I was like, that's very much like Chris and I always talk about. We're like, yes, we're together because we love each other, but also the idea of dating sounds horrible.
They were cute. I felt like they were a very realistic marriage as well, because like, and even I haven't been married anywhere like near as long as they have, but like.
But you've been together for like 13 years?
11 years. But
11?
Yeah. But like, yeah, almost. And I think. But I felt like even though they have been together longer, and obviously this was more of a story about like middle-aged marriages, I think like I still felt like a lot of it was like I very much related to stuff they were talking about. But
because I think there's like a line that Will Forte says where he's like, sometimes you go through phases in a relationship where like, yeah, it's romantic and it's fun, and then you go through phases like roommate phases where you're just like, you know
what cracked me up was when Steve Carell was like, he was first telling them that he wanted to divorce his wife, and he was like, he was just like, he was talking about how they just don't even do anything. They just kind of like live in the same house basically, and they don't do anything together.
Yeah.
And they were like, so you're kind of like roommates. And he's like, I wish we were roommates. And he was like, we're like coworkers at a nuclear factory.
Yeah.
Really
and he was like, we just stare at the same screens and then we log off at the end of the day.
Okay, so how did you feel about that whole thing? Because I was deeply saddened by that first episode. Like, I felt so bad for her.
I did too, but by the end of the show, I felt good because I think there's a whole scene.
But I
felt really sad for her, especially she looked so beautiful in her like vow renewal dress, and like Steve Carell just comes off as an asshole. But then I think the more you get to know their characters, I think maybe it was good because it's like. It's very clear that I think Anne was like, she wasn't doing anything, you know, she didn't like,
but at
she
least
was just
talk to her about it. Like, you're just gonna divorce her and not even, because the thing with him is he thought he mentioned, he was like, I think she would be thankful, like I think she feels the same way, and turns out she doesn't, because she wanted to like renew their marriage, vow renewals.
But I'm curious, like part of that felt very manipulative on her side.
That's
too.
True, yeah. Like she was trying.
Yeah, like it was like just go to therapy or like talk to each other. But I think it was like this thing where I think maybe she knew if she talked to him, like it would just be over.
Yeah, because you can tell, like, so when they kind of first realize that she's doing, which by the way, how did she get that? It was essentially a wedding.
Yeah.
Like a wedding, basically. How did she do that in 2 hours?
It's crazy. She was like, oh, I sent Nick to a bagel place that's an hour away. I was like, what?
Yeah, so it's 2 hours for them to put that whole thing together. It was like a pretty big event. But he doesn't respond. They're all obviously calling him because they know that he wants to divorce her. And so they're trying to give him a warning, like, hey, like you might want to come back. Like she's doing this. And he doesn't respond. So now they're all kind of just like wondering where he is. He takes a long time to come back. And you can tell that she's nervous too. Yeah. And so I think she probably in her head did maybe think about it. Maybe that is why she was trying. They don't go into it.
I think she was like, if I convince him, if I make like a very romantic big gesture. Yeah. then it'll remind him of like why he loves our life together.
And I'm curious what that was like. Like, obviously it wasn't filmed, so there is nothing. But, like, I'm just curious, like, what that would have looked like, them divorcing, because they don't show it.
Yeah.
So the next thing you see is just them on their next vacation.
Which is how they do it in the original movie,
Really?
too. They don't do the whole vow renewal. It's just him, like, talking to his friends, being like, I want to divorce Kate? No, I want to divorce Anne. And then they're, like, sad about it. And then the next scene is, like, him with Jenny, which I think is very interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious how the movie was. But, so I just felt so bad for her, though. Like, I just felt really sad for her because, like, even stuff, like, she couldn't get on the boat. Like, okay, like, I felt like he was making a big deal out of that. But, I was glad that they didn't show it. That's what I was worried about, was, like, I think I even texted you. I was like, I'm just, like, I don't want them to show her sad or whatever. Like, I just don't want that.
I think, and the thing that makes me mad is, like, even I think Will Forte or Coleman Domingo's character says this to Steve Carell, where he's like, you just want to, like, fuck somebody new and young. And I think that was part of it, but I think it was, like, he was lost himself, too.
Yeah. And Coleman Domingo's character, so Claude and Danny, that's Coleman Domingo and his partner, they're in an open relationship.
Yeah.
So that is kind of what, and so he's trying to tell Steve Carell, like, just go, like, fuck somebody else and, like, whatever. And so it's interesting dynamics.
Yeah.
But,
I love the scene. She goes and she buys this strawberry thing
I hated that.
Oh, well, first of all, she thought she was going to, like, sleep with the surf instructor. So she's like, he calls her Chica Fresca, like, strawberry girl or something like that. And so then she's like, oh, maybe I'll sleep with him. So she brings the strawberry that she bought from the store to the bar. And she's like, I have something that you'll think is hilarious. And he's like, okay. And as you do at resorts, it's wrapped in a billion layers. So it's just her, like, awkwardly, like, unwrapped.
I had
she's
to
like,
skip,
it's really
I had
funny.
to skip
I
that
knew
part.
You would. But I love the scene where she goes and she's, like, broken the strawberry. She goes to buy more. And she explains, she's like, someone bought me a strawberry thing once. I put it up in my...
She's like, I was wearing strawberry pajama pants, so they bought me a strawberry.
Yes. And she was like, and now, like, all I have are strawberries. And she was like, I bet your mom has a thing too or something. And the guy goes, yeah, like, she likes pigs or something like that. And she was like, I bet she hates them. So she buys all these, like, strawberry ornaments and just whacks them off of her balcony. And it felt cathartic to, like, watch her do that. Mm-hmm. I loved that for her.
How did you think, okay, so they were all, so it turns out that she ends up on the same vacation as them, but she's
that
on
was
a solo
crazy.
trip. But I was like, you know what?
No, she did it on purpose. She said she could see where they were. So she booked a thing and she was going to confront them all and changed her mind.
But you know what? Fuck those friends for choosing him over her.
Yeah.
I was just kind of like...
I get the vibe that they didn't choose him over her. I think it was, like, very much, they had these trips planned where they were like, this is our trip with him and his girlfriend. And then at the end, it's like, oh, this is our trip with her. So I didn't know
that later on. They were like, oh, this is my... Yeah, but, like, from the context of, like, that episode, like, they were all just, like, on a trip with him. And I was just kind of like,
is, like...
That's really sad.
It is. But that is, like, the thing when it's, like, you have couple friends, and if they break up... It is so awkward, you know?
Yeah, especially in that group because they're just, like, they're lifelong friends.
Yeah, and they all are, like, intertwined with each other.
Yeah, and I was wondering, like, okay, what would you do? Like, would you choose the friend... I guess you split them up. Like, the way they do it is the right way, where they're still friends with both and they split up trips, like, whatever. But, like... At first, I didn't know that, so I thought they were just, like, going on a trip with him and his new girlfriend, and I felt really bad for her. But I'm like... What do you do in that situation? Do you just, like, go with the person that you knew first?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. But, anyway, I just, so that part.
It always makes me think, you said one time your greatest fear is me and Chris splitting up.
Yeah.
But, like, it's, like, the same thing. Sad. Or, like, if you and Matthew did, it'd just be like, well, we're all friends. I mean, obviously, like, you and I are closer friends.
Yeah.
But it'd just be like, well, Chris is friends with Matthew. So then it would just be like, this is awkward. You know what I mean? Like, it creates such an interesting scenario, and they've been friends for, like, decades, so it's so interesting. And I think, like, so Coleman Domingo's his name's Danny in the show, and their relationship, Claude, I actually thought was really interesting as well, because you can tell that there's, like, a lot of love there, but Claude is, like, so, because Danny has, like, a heart issue, and you find out in the first episode he has to have, like, surgery or something, and Claude is, like, so worried that he's gonna die, And so then he's like literally like smothering him. He's like putting lotion on his feet. Like there was like one scene, I think when they were at the pool or something, where like Claude just like wraps his arms around Coleman Domingo's arms. And I was like, I would lose my mind if someone were that physically affectionate with me all the time. I would be like, get off.
And then, yeah, I know. Like, but then be honest and just be like, can you just like get off of me?
Yeah. But then the thing is, it's like he says, he's like, oh, he's Italian. It's like he's living in his own opera. So if he had said that, he probably would have.
Yeah.
But I will say the scene that really drew me in from the preview of the show was them going to the resort. It's a resort that they're not staying at, so they're trying to pretend like they are. And they're like, oh, it's us again. Good to see you again. Oh, we're here again.
Yeah. And the guy's like, I'll give you $100, or if you give me $100, I'll give you
he's like, I'm leaving for Villanova next week. And
it's like, what are you studying? Yeah. I thought that was funny.
I love Claude's character.
I do too, yeah.
I think they
also
are
a beautiful man.
Beautiful.
So is Coleman Domingo. I am obsessed with Coleman Domingo.
I am too. The thing is, like you said, he does not look like he's 55.
But he was. It wasn't even just like how he looks. Like just the way he acts. Like he was dancing on the dance floor, and he was literally like just the way he was moving. I was like, that looks like a 30 or like a 25-year-old or something.
And I loved I haven't seen him in a lot of things, but I feel like the things I see him in, he's always like a secret agent or like a whatever. And this was just like
Coleman Domingo.
Yeah, like he's always like in actiony things.
Like what? I feel like I've only seen him.
He was in that Apple TV thing. He was in Walking Dead, wasn't he?
He was. And okay, so I was trying to figure out like what I know him from, like genuinely, like because obviously I love Coleman Domingo, but then I was like thinking about it. Or I was talking to my mom about it the other day, and I was just like, what do I actually know him from? Like, what was my first... And I realized, like, my first, like, conscious thing of him was Euphoria. When he played Rue's sponsor, I guess. I don't really know. And he was so good in that. Like, he had, like, an episode where his acting was, like, phenomenal. It was amazing. And I think he, like, won an Emmy for it. And I realized, like, so I thought, I was just like, so what is he most known for? And that is actually where he became famous, was from Euphoria. And he was also in, like, Fear the Walking Dead, but, like, he became famous for Euphoria. But it was, like, for such a small role.
Interesting.
But then... Yeah, and so I just feel like he's just, like, blown up since then.
I just love seeing him in this role where he's just kind of like a normal, like, kind of funny guy.
I was surprised he was in this show.
Yeah,
to be
I
honest
was too.
with you. It felt like, again, because he just seems like he's so famous now, and I just was surprised. But
it's interesting, like, again, seeing the original 4 seasons, and I could tell before anyone said their name who was cast as who.
Really?
It's, like, again, it's just so, like... Alan Alda's character is...
Yeah, who is he supposed to be?
Jack.
Okay, I figured.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if he was Steve Carell's character.
It was just like, yep, I could peck that. The only thing is, though, Coleman Domingo and Claude were obviously, it's the 70s, so they were a wife and a...
I figured,
and they were kind of, that couple was kind of annoying in the original film, whereas I loved the dynamic between them, but I think it very much is like a very... Like, they are almost like foils to each other, where Coleman Domingo's character is, like, a little bit grumpy, but he loves Claude very much, and Claude is very much like, oh, like, he says, like, you live in not reality, you live in a fictional, like, beautiful world, and I live in reality. And it's, like, sometimes you have to have those people there, because it's, like, you have to have a dreamer and a realist together. Yeah. Because... I think, like, if you were both realists, you would both be very cynical. If you're both dreamers, nothing would get done, you know?
That's true.
So I think they were all very good foils for each other. And I liked Jenny's character too, because I think like she could have been somewhere it's like easy to be like, oh, the other woman, but they made her a very likable character.
Yeah, and I thought it was good that she pointed out, she was just like, I go with your friends on your trip, and like obviously she's gonna have like her own friends. Right. But I thought so just to like, again, spoiler, but kind of the big like plot twist.
Huge spoiler.
That wasn't given to me, even though it was, but they're comedians, so I thought they were joking. I watched an interview with the cast like when I was on like episode 5 or something.
You gotta stop doing that.
I've gotta stop doing that. But Steve Carell's character just like kind of suddenly dies.
Yeah.
In a car crash. Yeah. And I mean, they don't show it, but like it's just like he has like a scene, a very like you think nothing of it, and then next he's dead.
Yeah, and it's actually
like really crazy.
It's a really beautiful scene. So it's the winter version where it's New Year's Eve. I actually love, so he's on the trip with his young girlfriend and their young friends. And the thing is, it's like kind of like you realize that age difference, because he's like, all of them are vegans and they don't drink, which I think is very much like an old person describing millennials, where it's just like, okay, I've never met
especially
these people.
them like they didn't know who Kenny Loggins was.
Yeah,
I was just like, what?
That was it was like, okay, this is what an old person thinks a young person is. But he like FaceTimes his friends to say like Happy New Year's, and they're all like, and I think it's a really nice moment that he has. But then he pulls out his iPad and he's like playing Animal Farm. Ginny comes up and she's
which is a kind of a callback to like
his wife.
That's why he sort of broke up with his wife, was because she was like just playing on her iPad and like whatever.
Which like I get, like I have my little game that I was playing it before you came over.
I have my security iPad.
Yeah, exactly. But and Jenny's like, what are you doing? I go on the trips with your friends and I like, you know, it's awkward and I go through the uncomfortableness. She's like, you didn't even try. Like, you know, like 2 of my friends are sober and you brought champagne. You know they're vegan. You brought groceries that are just for you. So it's him at the grocery store and you see he's asking, he's like, are these like gluten-free chips? He buys like
he's, like,
alcohol.
trying.
Yeah, he's trying. And on the way home, it's New Year's Eve, he gets into a car accident and he dies. And it's like, it's pretty like,
well, it's sudden because you just see that last scene of him at the grocery store and you're just like, oh, and he like whatever. It's like a kind of a cute, like it's just like somehow like a very like cute scene. And then like all of a sudden Tina Fey gets a call from Jenny where she's just like telling her that he died. And so it's really sudden.
Yeah, and I love the next episode is them getting together for like his memorial again.
Yeah.
And there's this whole thing where it's like, you know, his ex-wife is like, she's arranged the whole funeral, but Jenny is like, I loved this person too, like this person was important to me. And Tina Fey, this is actually really insensitive that she says to Jenny, she's
Tina
like,
Fey's character really pissed me off that episode.
Yeah, she was like, you know, they were married for 25 years, like this is just going to be a blip to you. And Jenny's like, this was not a blip. Like, I loved this person.
And also, like, that was just not, whether she's right or not, that just, like, wasn't her place to say that.
Yeah.
It just, the whole thing kind of pissed me off because, like, first of all, that should have been, even though the wife is going through, I mean, she shouldn't have to, like, be having that conversation, but, like, let her have that conversation. That just should not have been up to Tina Fey.
Right.
And also, so the whole thing is, like, so Ginny wants to be involved in the funeral, obviously, because she just, like, lost a loved one. And she wants to, so she has like photos that she's like offering to share so they can like put it up, you know, whatever. And Tina, they see the photos and they're kind of all like risque, like they're just like funny, like a lot of them are just like them making out or whatever. But they're like, some of them were cute. I was kind of like, they could show at least one of these, but she trashes the folder. Tina Fey does.
Rude.
It's so rude.
And it shows what I think they think of the relationship that they had together.
Right. And like, it's fair that like, yes, the ex-wife who was with him for 25 years should give a speech, but also like, it is kind of true that like, they're not together anymore. So is that kind of weird too?
Yeah. And she like says that. And I think like they are essentially making the point that I think is interesting where it's like there are different sides of a person and like you can love this one side, but maybe like there's another side that someone else is going to bring out in them.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And Jenny says, she's like, you know, they were together 25 years, but 25 years with the wrong person versus a year with the right one. And I think that that's interesting.
I thought it was interesting when later on, because Anne like is looking through the photos that Jenny had, you know, was going to use. And she's like actually laughing at the photos, and it's supposed to be nice, but in my head I was kind of like, I feel like I'd be like pissed off to see, because she's like, he looked genuinely happy with her, and I'd feel like I'd be like really pissed to see that.
I think maybe yes, except I think him having died like makes it like more of a, you know,
I miss him.
Yeah,
but
like,
I just
not even I miss him. Like, yeah, we weren't right together, so. Like, I think they still loved each other. And I think you saw that, like, in that last phone call he had with his friends. Like, they have a love for each other that's not a romantic love. It's this person that you spent 25 years with and you had a child with. And you realize, okay, we aren't meant to be together. But you're glad that in his last year of life, maybe he was genuinely happy.
That is true. I just think
I can see on your face, you're like, not me.
It would be so hard genuinely to see them with like another person. Like that would just, I always think that'd be so like, just like really disturbing, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it was, I just think all of the relationships, and I think the interpersonal, like the friendship relationships are really relatable, where like there's even Tina Fey and Coleman Domingo are really close, and she makes this comment about his husband. It's actually an incredibly rude comment.
I missed the comment. I actually missed it. Because I was like, why are they mad at each other? I couldn't
she said he was like complaining about his husband, Claude, and she was like, you know, I envy like the way you've set up your life, you know, like when you need intelligent conversation, you come to me, and when you need everything else, like you have your, and she like basically calls Claude like his boy toy or something. It not those words, but something like really fucking offensive. And that's why Coleman Domingo is like, stay out of my marriage.
Yeah.
And it's very true, where it's like, I think, you know, and I've had this conversation with friends too, like in both directions, where it's like you vent about your relationship to them, and it's like, I'm venting about my relationship.
Yeah,
that is not, can't talk about them because that's the person that I love.
My mom always taught me that with breakups too, like with friends with breakups, where it's like you cannot talk about them.
No,
because if they get back together, now it's like
you wait at least a year, and even then, you should be careful with what you say, because people can still always get back together, and they will remember. They will remember.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was great. I loved that it was funny, but it wasn't overtly funny. It was
Tina Fey. It was very like Tina
there were
Fey
funny moments.
Is just such a good writer, and she's so funny.
I love the last scene where it was her and it was Kate and Jack, and she's like, after she had fallen in the ice, and she's like in this blanket.
I love that.
Yes, and he makes a joke, and he's like, anyone who wants to stay married, raise their hand, and she can't, and she's like, it's coming, and she like sticks out her little like finger.
I know. I thought that really was cute.
Really cute. Yeah.
He's like laying on her.
Okay, I will say one thing though. So there's, in the fall, they go to college to visit Nick and Anne's daughter.
It was just such a perfect college, like, fall. Yeah, like, that's why I thought you would love it.
But Jack and Kate's daughter is there, too.
Yeah, I was like, what is the point of this character?
And it's like, she has this weird interaction with Nick and Anne's daughter, and then is like, yeah,
I think she knew about the play. That's what I got, because I also was like,
what was the point of that? It was such a blip.
I'm wondering if they cut out scenes or something. A blip. But, so two things about that. First of all, they came all the way there for Parents' Weekend, only for her to be like, yeah, sorry, I have to study. And she, like, so doesn't. You never see her for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, there was literally, like, one scene where I was like, when they were leaving, I was like, oh, they're not going to, like, say bye to their daughter? Like, that's so crazy.
Yeah, and she never talk about her. Weird about, like, so the two daughters are friends, but, like, she seemed kind of weird about her. I think it's because she must have known about the play.
Yeah.
They must have just cut some scenes or something, because it did feel kind of random.
I do love, like, So Nick and Anne's daughter puts on this play that's basically about Nick getting divorced.
Yeah, it reminded me of Euphoria.
It did. Is this play about us? And I love when she says that Jenny's character, she's like, her personality is squats and she majored in home economics. And it's very funny, but it's very uncomfortable.
I think, like, okay, same with Euphoria. Like, I'm like, who allowed this play to be put on?
It just seems like a small liberal arts college where they were like, sure.
But it wasn't even, like, an interesting play. It's only interesting to us because we know what she's talking about.
Yeah, it would be like, I can't imagine going to see that play and just like...
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's not funny.
It's very interesting.
But it was a good show. And so the reason that you got me into it was because you were just like, it's a really good lunchtime show. It's like a 30-minute...
And that's what I always say. I'm like, we need more of those where it's like 30 minutes. It's not heavy. It's not light, but it's interesting.
I can't watch Shogun at lunchtime.
Yes, like I literally, sometimes I'll watch like The Last of Us, and it's like, okay, now I have to stop while the zombie fungi apocalypse is happening.
Yeah.
And I have to go join this meeting. I'm like, I just need a 30-minute like little, like, okay, I'm eating my little lunch.
Yeah.
And then I'm going back to my little job. You know? And this was perfect, which is why I was trying to savor it, and then I just blew through it.
I know.
And that is like one thing about Netflix sometimes where I'm just like,
sometimes
I need you to stop me, Netflix.
Especially because sometimes I'd be like, well, let me just watch the next episode, and then I really just did an hour long thing,
yeah, exactly.
Which was what I was trying to avoid.
And that is the danger of 30-minute episodes where you're like, let me just start the next episode, and you're like, well, I'm already 15 minutes in, I'm halfway through. Yeah. But I loved it. Overall, I would say I would give it like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it's a show like I'd rewatch, but I did like it.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're gonna do like a season 2. I don't think so.
Well, the way it ended reminded me of what you said about Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Did you think that when you watched it?
Yeah.
I thought it was such a. Okay, you know what? I did like the show. I thought it was a really stupid ending.
It was. We won't say it, but we'll know if you know.
Well, we spoiled everything else.
Okay, we'll say it. We're huge spoiler. Jenny's pregnant at the end.
But it's like, why? Like, why do we care?
Yeah.
So are they doing another season?
And that's one of the reasons where I was like,
Probably
maybe
not.
they're doing another season and they're going to bring Jack and Kate's daughter back into it. But I was like, no, I think they must have cut scenes or something. Like, it was really weird to
I think
me.
they just cut scenes. I think that was a weird ending because, again, I don't think they'd do a season 2. Why would they?
Yeah, I don't know.
There was only one movie.
Yeah. But overall, I really liked it.
But speaking of Netflix.
Yes, okay, so this is why Chris is the villain in this story, and this is why you need to know. He's the one who told me they're taking Bandersnatch off Netflix, and the absolute glee in his voice when he said that. And he said, you know what, I love it when it's like these things that he was like that you love and I don't love, but like he said it in a nicer way, because he reminded me of the time where I said Outlander is one of the biggest shows on television, and it was
and nobody got it right on
Jeopardy. Yeah, it was just dead silent, and I was sitting there, I was like, Outlander! Anyways, so yeah, and Chris was like, yeah, like they're taking your show off of Netflix.
No, they're taking Bandersnatch off.
Which is interesting.
Who really cares? Were you planning on ever playing? Because at first, when I first read it, I got really pissed. I was like, no.
Did you know with all the... So Bandersnatch is an episode of Black Mirror, and it's an interactive, like, choose your own adventure
It's like almost like a video game.
Yeah, and I guess, like, they're taking it off. They took off that, and there was a Kimmy Schmidt episode that was also kind of like a choose your own adventure game.
Really? Oh, does it take up a lot of space or something?
No, they're taking it off because Netflix is... I wrote it down. I think they're, like, trying to move towards, like, their own interactive formats of, like, a... Like, they're making more of, like, a video, like, game type portfolio.
So would they move those
them.
over there?
I don't know. I think it's going to be on Netflix, but I think they are taking those off so that way, like, Netflix's, like, game portfolio type of thing can stand out. Like, it's all going to be on Netflix.
Well,
but
but then why would they take off those episodes? I don't get it.
I don't know. It didn't really make sense to me either. And I read like a bunch of articles on it, but it basically just has to do with they just were taking off any interactive content because they want their new interactive content to stand out and be like fresh, I guess.
What?
But what's weird to me...
I wonder if they're going to move it over, though. That's what I'm wondering.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I was mad about it at first, but then I was like, well, whatever. I'm not going to play it again.
With all of the different endings, it's like 6 hours long.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I remember the day that Matthew and I watched it, played it, whatever, and it took us forever.
Yeah.
Like, we just could not finish it.
We did it, my friends and I went to Nashville for New Year's Eve, and it had just come out, and we literally came back drunk as hell and watched it, and we did all the like different, we tried to do as many different endings as we could.
It took us like a couple hours for sure. What
I think is weird though that they took it off is because they have an episode, the Thronglets one, that's a sequel to it.
I know.
Or a prequel or whatever. Sequel?
So now sequel.
Which you don't need Bandersnatch to understand it. And I think I read that Netflix made a Thronglets game too to go with it, which is interesting. But I'm just like, okay, well, it's not a standalone episode, you know? Like, it has something that plays into it. So it just seems kind of weird to suddenly be like, and now you'll never... Like, if you haven't watched it...
Actually, you really don't need to watch it, though, now that I think about it. Because, like, again, like, Will Poulter's character's in it for 2 seconds. And then they kind of just, like, go into what the game is. So it's like, they give the background of, like, him introducing the game, but...
I think it leaves today. May 12th is its last day. Should we watch it? Well,
I don't have time.
Yeah.
If we were, I'd be like, yes.
Yeah. But I just think it's interesting to... I think what pisses me off about streaming services, and we talk about this all the time, but like I think about Westworld, where it's like, unless I for some reason decided to buy the DVDs of Westworld, which like, why would I? I cannot watch Westworld anywhere. I can't watch it. Because HBO took it off.
How crazy is that?
So now, like, unless I had, for some reason, a physical... Which is why I think Matthew brought this up to Chris one time. Like, he was like, I invest in physical media. Now we have a bunch of DVDs that no one will ever watch. But anyways, where it's like, if I don't have the physical media and a streaming service decides, like, I don't really want to watch this, or I don't really want to, like... have this available, it's just not available.
But why would you ever do that? Like, that's what I didn't get about Westworld, is like, of all the shows on Max, like, why Westworld? It was such a popular show.
It's so weird. I don't know.
I still to this day don't understand why they did that.
Yeah. I just think
this reminded me of that though, because it's like rare when you see them take an original thing off their platform.
Yeah. And that's why Chris literally, because if you listen to our Black Mirror episode, it was a whole thing where we had to like tie Chris down to a chair and force him to watch Black Mirror because he doesn't want to watch it. Yeah. And that's why before we came up, he was like, with a smile, he was like, are you guys talking about Black Mirror? He was like, you guys should have me come on to talk about the episode. And I was like, No, Chris, because then it would start a
come on
fight.
and talk about Black Mirror that he's never seen.
Yeah, exactly.
He's seen one episode,
two, technically, yeah. He said he admitted yesterday, actually, that he thought, well, the way he described it, I won't say how he described it, but, because it's a huge spoiler, but the, not Hang the DJ, Shut Up and Dance, he said, he was like, actually, you know what, that was good.
Thank you. I was so
He won't
mad.
admit to that if you ask him.
Oh, I'm going to.
He won't admit to it, but he
You
said
know
it
what?
yesterday.
That pisses me off because the whole episode was like, how can you not think this is a good episode?
He was like, that one was fine. He was like, but the
it was
other
fine
one,
or it was good?
if he
What
said
did he
fine, it
say,
means
really?
good for Chris. It takes a lot for him to admit that things are good. But yeah, I just, overall, like, I just think that's interesting.
That's our thought. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Overall,
all I
think
have.
that's
Like, they're
interesting.
taking it off, and fuck them.
Yeah. But I will never probably watch it again, so I don't know why I'm mad, but I am.
I just think I don't like not having access to
I don't
things.
like not
It
having
feels
access
like
to Will
burning
Poulter
books.
stuff. Oh. To things with Will Poulter.
Different two types of girls.
It does feel like burning books.
Yes, like it's just like, oh, I'll never have access to
But
this.
you know what's funny is like Netflix is like, it's not like that. Like they're like, it's not that deep.
Yeah. Well, what if it was something like, I don't know, that was a deep thing that they took off,
No,
you know?
luckily it's not though.
Well, it depends on who you talk to.
They just like drop acid and jump off buildings and you have to figure out if they live or die, and that's kind of it.
That's deep to me.
I know.
Speaking of deep, so I just want to like do a quick little plug here that I went to the Frida Kahlo exhibit at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts.
Oh.
This is really only for people who live in Virginia, I guess. And it was phenomenal. And Frida Kahlo, I want to watch the Salma Hayek Frida Kahlo again.
I've never seen that.
Was it Salma Hayek?
I think so.
Yeah. It's really good. Her life is so tragic, but watching, like, they had all like the photos of her, and like they had like videos and which I had never seen like a video of like actual Frida Kahlo.
Either.
And the thing is, like, she's so confident and she's so wild, but her life is so tragic because like in her early like or late teens or whatever, she's in this bus accident that basically it's like a pole like goes up into the middle of her body. She's like she learns to paint while lying flat because she's like recovering, but they just have like, it's a really fascinating exhibit, and I want more Frida Kahlo content. And I also want to ask your opinion. There was this portrait that I was like, I think it's my new favorite painting, and this comes back to depression, and I just want everyone to know, well, this is a trigger warning for depression and suicide.
Okay.
But don't be concerned about me. I just thought this was a really great painting. It's called The Suicide of Dorothy Hale, and it was beautiful, but I was like, I want to put this up in my home, but it's literally like a woman jumping off of a building.
Well, okay, the question is like, do you think it would trigger you?
No.
Okay.
But I just think it's like a really, really amazing...
Wait, I'm saying get it. It's probably like...
Yeah, I would get a reprint of it.
Got it.
But just like the way she does, like the painting,
I knew you'd
like
get a reprint.
it's like the woman's like looking you in the eye. It's like a really wonderful painting, and I just go to museums, go check out some art.
I just went to one this weekend.
Did you use your tickets?
I did.
What did you think?
We went to the Michelangelo exhibit. It's in Williamsburg, which is crazy to me because like you go in and it's like it is really cool. It's a very short exhibit, so it literally takes up like 30 minutes of your time. But it was really beautiful because, like, first of all, you're seeing, like, the Sistine Chapel without having to go.
Yeah, and there were multiple people there who were like, I've seen the Sistine Chapel multiple times, and they were like, you can't, it's like 60 feet in the air, so you can't really see it, and they're shuffling you along. So this was, like, laser printed
You're literally,
onto the wall.
like, toe-to-toe in there, too, probably.
Yeah.
But I think with this, like, yeah, it was cool. It was almost, it kind of made me dizzy because it's, like, you're looking at it, it's almost, like, 3D.
Yeah.
But it was cool, and there was a portrait of Michelangelo, which had never been viewed by the U.S. until, like, now.
Wow.
Which I was, like, in Williamsburg, Virginia?
The Mascarelli Museum is a fantastic museum.
It really is. So, like, if you live here, like, I don't know. But, go. But then, because it's only here until June 1st, and then it's going to go somewhere else, I guess. Yeah. Which I was telling Matthew, I was like, how do they take that down?
They said we asked them this. They said it just comes off. And then they would laser print it.
Not even that. I'm just saying all of the stuff. How do they, like, that must be, like, painstaking having to, like, carefully take everything out.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I guess that's what, like, museum curators and stuff do.
Yeah.
But the ones that are, like, laser printed onto the wall, like, it's literally, they laser printed it on and they can just peel it off.
What if you dropped it? What if you dropped, like,
That's why I don't do that type of work,
right?
You know?
But yeah, so
you just drop the Mona Lisa.
But I forget how dead silent museums are until you kind of cross that threshold into the exhibit and you open the door and it's just dead silence and there's people in there, and then like I literally got the giggles because of just like how silent it was.
It's
and sometimes
crazy.
I get like really like nervous in those situations. But anyway,
that's funny. Go to your local museum.
Yeah.
Or a big one. Who cares?
Yeah,
go to a museum. Go look at some art. It's refreshing.
Because we told you to.
Because we told you to. Because we're cultural bitches. Cultured bitches.
Yeah. We are. Cultured bitches. That should have been our name.
So I know that you don't watch this show, but it's a show called The Rehearsal. It's Nathan Fielder. I love it. I had never seen... He did Nathan For You on HBO, or not HBO, I think it was Paramount Plus. And I had never seen that. I watched a few episodes. So basically each episode, the premise is he's like setting up this elaborate like set and situation that he's like helping himself or people like rehearse for real life. So the whole premise of this the second season is he has this theory where he thinks that a lot of like airplane crashes are because co-pilots don't speak up enough, or they don't feel like comfortable enough to speak up to captains of airplanes. So he's going through it, and he's also like trying to figure out other situations where it's like there's like this was I think the second or third episode where it's like he's like thinking about situations in his life where he was like, why didn't I speak up? And there's this whole thing where Nathan For You was on Paramount Plus, and they removed an episode of his show because Nathan Fielder is Jewish, but they said after the Hamas attacks, they like removed anything that could be viewed as like anti-Semitic or whatever, which Nathan Fielder was like, I'm Jewish, it's not anti-Semitic. But he like he has an actor that he's standing over like reenacting him typing out the email to Paramount Plus being like, hi there, like just wondering, like hope everything's going okay over in Paramount Plus, like why did you guys take down this episode? And he was like, and why wasn't I forceful enough, like thinking back to like the like co-pilot like pilot situation. And then it's like it is so funny because they explain that basically Paramount Plus Germany was the first one to take it down. And then he shows this map that literally looks like a spreading war where it's like, and then the ideology of Paramount Plus Germany spread to Paramount Plus France and Paramount Plus Russia. And it's so funny. He's
like comparing them to like...
Yes. And so then he does this whole thing where he sets up the Paramount Plus offices to like interact, like see what it would be like if he went to go interact with them. And he sets it up as though they are like World War II Nazis, but it's the Paramount Plus office. So you walk in, and you know how like in like Nazi Germany, like they have the flags going down the walls? It's like that, but they're Paramount Plus flags. And he goes and he like talks to the head of Paramount Plus Germany. It's not the real one, who's like dressed basically like a like World War II like Nazi guy, and he's just like, well, like I thought it's just very funny. It's
crazy.
So wild.
What is Nathan For You on? Or sorry, what is The Rehearsal on? Is that Max?
It's HBO.
So like, how are they allowed to talk about Paramount
I
Plus
was
like
so
that?
curious about what the flag would be, and basically Nathan
We're just
Fielder
like, how did they must have great lawyers?
Oh yeah, I mean it's HBO, so I guess so. But Nathan Fielder was like, yeah, I was really pissed off that they just removed this episode. They didn't even say anything to me about it, and it was an episode, I guess, that it was like he created some like fake brand that he actually made real that like I guess raises money for Holocaust awareness or something like that, which is interesting. But it's very funny. But the next episode also gets this is one of my favorite episodes of television ever. It is so crazy. So he's thinking about, you know, Sullenberger, the guy who landed the plane, the Tom Hanks movie on the Hudson.
Yeah.
He reads his biography. He buys like 23 copies of it. He's highlighting different things. He's doing sections of his life. And everyone's like, he did a better biography or biopic of Sully's life than like Tom Hanks did. Where he literally, it is the wildest thing. He literally is in a room that's like twice its size, so he's like a baby as like Sully, and a like animatronic like giant woman comes in to be like Sully's mom, so that way he can live like he's trying to live Sully's life as much as possible from birth to when he landed the plane on the Hudson, because he realizes from the transcripts of that flight that the co-captain said he had asked the co-captain for his input, which none of the other captains on flights do. So he was like, well, what in Sully's life created this thing where he actually was asking for feedback from a co-pilot? And so he's living, it is so crazy. It is so funny.
I feel like I'm not getting. I feel like I'd have to see it.
You'd have to see it. It is one of the wildest.
I'm not getting what you're saying.
It is one of the wildest episodes of television you will probably ever see. It is so it's just so interesting, and he realizes by reading
what is the I'm confused with the connection between the transcript and the baby is. What?
So the transcript. So in the transcript for when the plane is about to they're having issues when Sully's trying to land the plane, he asks for the co-pilot's input, which Nathan, this whole season is about how pilots and co-pilots don't interact during times of issues on planes. It's always the pilot is basically telling the co-pilot to shut up or to whatever. But Sully actually asks for the co-pilot's input, which then Nathan is I wonder what it is about Sully that made him realize he needs the input of the co-pilot. So to figure that out, he decides to try to live Sully's life from birth to that moment as closely as possible based on his biography to figure out certain things. And it's actually interesting because he was Sully always says this thing where I didn't realize this. He talks about all these things that he had in his life and how he had to figure out a way to get through it. And he had to basically saying he just had to get through it. And apparently he talked to another pilot who was we don't really go to therapy or anything, because if we say oh, we're depressed, we are this or whatever, it can get reported to the FAA and then our license is revoked.
Yeah.
So he there's this whole thing where it's Sully talks about when the iPod came out and how basically he found reading between the lines, he found therapy or emotional expression in music. And there's this is I don't think accurate, but he says in the transcripts so there's this one song by Evanescence. Do you know the band? Mm-hmm. That was a stupid question. Of course you do. Yeah. Who doesn't? And there's this one song where it's wake me up, and the lyrics, the chorus of that is 23 seconds long. And in the transcript from when Sully's trying to land the plane, there's a 23-second pause from when it's he asks the co-pilot something and he makes the decision to land. And Nathan has this whole hypothesis. He's you know what else is 23 seconds long? Sully's favorite, the chorus of Sully's favorite song that helps him get through anything, which is Evanescence. And he does this thing where it's it's so
Wait,
hard.
Did he really like Evanescence?
He really likes Evanescence, and it just happens to also be 23 seconds long. It probably isn't what happened, that Sully was just let me listen to Evanescence to hype me up to land this plane on the river. But it's just it's very funny. It's such a crazy episode. It's one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen.
Interesting.
I highly recommend it. Nathan Fielder is such a surprise. He is such an interesting character.
I think I just don't vibe with, I don't get his
it is weird
humor.
To get. I at first was I don't understand.
I just
and
don't
then you
really
kind
understand the rehearsal. I don't understand the point of it. I even you explaining that plot, I'm wait, why is he acting it out though? I don't understand the point of that.
Because so it starts out where he interviews these people who have Yorkies that are clones of each other, and he is okay, well, I'm trying to figure out if they're a clone, if they live the exact life as the original dog, are they going to be the same as the original dog? So then he's if I live the exact life as Sully, would I be the same as Sully and make the same decisions as him? It's confusing, but I really love it.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it. Yeah,
cool.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Pope, but
oh, we have a new Pope. He's American. You know what? So here's how this is going to tie into pop culture, though. He's American. He's from Chicago. Hilarious. Love that.
He's from Chicago.
Because he's from Chicago.
What would be a funnier city?
Everybody knows him because everybody is cousins with him or whoever. Yeah. So it's did you see the video of his brother calling him? And because he has a brother and his brother's being interviewed by all these outlets, and so his brother calls him and what's his actual name? Whatever.
I don't know.
But he goes by Pope Leo. What's XIV?
10 plus 6. The 16th.
And
no, wait, the 14th.
And so I guess we call him Leo. I don't know. Pope
Kind of
Leo
hot.
calls. I love the name Leo.
I do too.
But Pope Leo calls his brother, or his brother calls him, and he answers. You can just hear him on the other, and he just goes, "You don't ever answer your phone." And like it's just like so like normal. I'm like, this man's the Pope. Like it's crazy.
Oh. I love people have been finding videos from the early 2000s of him at White Sox games.
Yeah.
Where he's just like vibing like they're like about to win the World Series, and he's just a Chicago White.
And there's so many people are like sharing like things where they're talking to somebody who like their mom knows him because of like their mom's like friend is cousins with him or something. Like everybody like knows him. What would be
the craziest place for the Pope to be from in America?
I'm
gonna say the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I feel like Jersey would be similar to Chicago where it's like they know everybody, you know? So it'd be funny for him. Like, the only other funny place would be Jersey, probably.
Or, like, West Virginia. Just randomly.
West Virginia would be, like, less funny and just more like, oh. No offense. You know what I mean? Like, you'd just be like it wouldn't be hilarious. It would just be like, oh, okay. Like, but, like, Chicago is just like he's like he knows like Richie from the Bear. You know what I mean? Like he's just like everybody in his family probably is. He's like
probably
Richie.
Had the what is it, the
I don't know,
what's that Chicago chili? It's like literally noodles and chili. It's disgusting.
Ew. One of my favorite trips was when we went to Chicago.
We had such a good time in Chicago. I just always remember how embarrassed I was about how much of a psycho
in the car.
What?
I
was going to say air hockey. What did I do in the car?
Air hockey. Oh my God, yeah. And I thought, remember I said I could beat everyone? We were at this dive bar, and I said I could meet everybody. It wasn't even a dive bar. It was a bar. But like I said I could beat everybody at air hockey, and everyone beat me. Because I said I'm so good at air hockey, and everyone beat me. I was in the car on the way from the airport. You were asking the Uber driver about like...
Oh, I was literally thinking about the other day where I said, oh, we're in the airport. It's like us and like 3 other coworkers. And I said, I think the Ubers are up this escalator. And I guess you guys didn't agree with me because I'm halfway up the escalator and I turn around.
That's so funny. We left you.
Everyone's still on the ground floor.
You were just like,
and so then I had to get off the escalator and then get back on the down one.
That was really funny.
I made full eye contact with all of you.
We were dying laughing. I was gonna say, okay,
and I was right.
I don't know about that.
I was.
So to tie it back.
Sorry.
To tie it back to pop culture, as we have to do.
Always.
Well, Matthew and my whole plan this week was to watch Conclave, last week was to watch Conclave because we're like, oh, it's Conclave. So, and now more than ever, like everyone's into Conclave, like everybody is keeping up. Everyone wants to see that white smoke. And so Matthew and I were like, oh, we're going to watch
Everyone
Conclave
wants that
week.
smoke.
Well, guess what? After the second day, the Pope was announced and we were like, I guess we can't watch Conclave anymore.
You mean you still could, but
not
the news
like,
coverage of a conclave is so interesting because it's like really like what are you covering? It's like, well, black smoke.
I know.
And then like
there's
you
nothing
can tell,
to cover.
Yeah.
You just have to stand out there and just like kind of like imagine being a reporter in that situation because all you can do is just like like you just have to talk. Like you can't even you have no new information. But you have no new information basically.
I would be like, well, let's go back to the first ever conclave.
Yeah, right? But we watch Conclave so much that we're just like but even last week we were like we can't watch it.
Yeah. I just every time like cuz I was on a work trip so I missed this like huge like announcement. It's like every time I'm not looking at my phone. I remember like the first one was like I decided to turn my phone off because I was like I just need a break. It was January 6th. And I remember turning my phone back on after 4 hours and being like, what the hell? I was like should I hide?
I was
like what's going on?
To break the news. I love like breaking news to people in my life. And so I told Matthew, I texted Matthew and I was like he was we were at work and I was like new Pope and he was like where'd you hear that? And I was like everywhere, like it's in the news.
It's like the biggest news of the world.
He was like, "Oh, I see it now, Pope Leo," and he like gives this whole biography. I was like, "Matthew, I know, I've been keeping up with it."
You're like, well aware, thank you. But anyways, so we've got a new Pope. That's exciting. Chicago, Chi-town.
Chicago. Do you remember that?
No.
From Victorious, when she does that play and it's Chicago.
I never saw Victorious.
Oh, it's not like, it wasn't good, but I watched it.
This is where our age difference of a year shows, I think.
I actually think so. I think age differences really show with Nickelodeon shows because it's like they're teen
and
shows.
Disney shows.
Yeah, but like I think like with it's like I know a lot of people who didn't watch iCarly, but like I did because like I was just at that age.
Yeah.
But if
I
you
just
were
remember
like
one of our
older,
friends,
you might not be watching it
she's
anymore.
like 3 years younger than me. She was listening to Nickelodeon shows. She was like, we're not that different in age. I was like, yeah, but you were 13 when I was driving a car.
Yeah.
Like I was watching MTV and like trying to figure out what does vodka taste like, you know?
And I was like, are Sam and Freddie gonna kiss?
Yeah. It's just like such a weird thing. But anyways,
that's all we had for you.
Yeah, Molly was supposed to be in bed 8 minutes ago.
I know. I'm actually I'm like slightly stressed about it.
Okay, well, we're going to end, and we'll see you next time. As always, please follow us on Instagram at Poppin' Podcast. Follow us on whatever podcast device you listen to. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye.